Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this amazing discussion where we're going to be talking about the first three Star Wars movies. And by that, I mean, go ahead, Kyle. What are the movies called? Please let us know.
Don't fucking throw me to a question when I got a plan bit, you
Oh
fucking
boy.
moron. Now
Okay.
these would be episodes 4 through 6, EliteAri, but that's not number 1, which EliteAri was trying to do that joke, but then he didn't know how to get there, so he threw it to me like an ignoramus.
No, what I was going
We're
to
not
say is
talking
what are
about
the
the prequels,
titles? What are the
EliteAri.
titles of the movies? That's what I was testing you on here, Kyle. Go ahead.
Number 1 is Star Wars. Then number 2 is Empire Strikes Back. Then number 3 is Revenge of the Sith.
Close enough. Okay.
Now, this is
Um,
very funny because originally it was going to be called Revenge of the Jedi, but then they changed it to Return of the Jedi. But I did a double joke because I changed it to Sith too.
mhm. Well, that's
I'm on
amazing. Okay.
fire.
Well, there's a lot of changes in the releases, in the actual stuff that's in the
Oh, don't
movies.
worry,
And,
I know all about them.
see, I don't know if I do, so maybe you'll inform me. But I guess before we get to all that, firstly, we got to give some background, and I'll start with myself here. So I am a big Star Wars fan, of course. If you have seen this channel, you know that I've got other Star Wars content on here. I've seen all the movies. I have seen most of the TV shows, including the animated ones. I love it. I love everything. I love the prequels. They're my favorite. I love the Clone Wars show. That's really great. But yeah, that's me. Kyle, go ahead. Who are you in Star Wars?
Many of that Star Wars content, because, I finished these movies so long ago. I've now watched EliteAri rank all the Star Wars movies again, just to see what he thought. I also checked his letterbox to see what he rated them all. I'm pretty sure he just gave them all 4 stars. What a boring bitch. And, so yeah, that's very fascinating. But EliteAri, I'm a true Star Wars fan. I only watched the original movies, and that's it, except that's not true. I watched Once Upon a Time, EliteAri. I sat down and I watched these 3 movies, these very ones. And then I think, soon after that, The Force Awakens came out. What a movie. We go and see it in the theater. And then, a year later, Rogue One comes out. I watched that movie, and, I'm like, oh, well, that was kind of boring. But then I see the Great Red Letter Media review shitting all over it, and I decide that that's the worst movie I've ever seen. And I say, I'm not watching any more Star Wars, which isn't even true. I was curious to go and see that 8th one, but I just never went.
Okay, so you haven't seen the
So I
prequels,
see
and you
5
haven't
Star Wars
seen.
movies,
Okay,
and none of these TV shows. I don't watch TV, EliteAri. Let's not be
right.
stupid around here. No dumb cartoons that EliteAri likes.
Mhm.
When that green bitch showed up, she looked like Ahsoka. That's somebody EliteAri talks about on his streams. That was pretty funny. And
Mhm.
that's my history with Star Wars. Oh, EliteAri, another thing. Before I watched any of these movies, I'm pretty sure I saw the first Family Guy Star Wars spoof. That was probably the first thing I ever saw. I even had a Game Boy Color Star Wars game, but it sucked and I never got past the first level. But even games that were good, I couldn't get past the first level. And though I think this was after I watched the first few movies. This might even be after Force Awakens. Of course, I played the great Star Wars Battlefront on PS4, that game everybody hates for being microtransaction-y from the great EA. We love EA here, EliteAri. I
Mhm.
played that game a lot. And all those levels, I'm pretty sure, are from these old movies. You got the little Ewok one. Sometimes they're running around on the stage. You got that snow one. That's Hoth or something. And then you've got there was a desert one, EliteAri, with these sand people. Can you believe we were calling them that in the 70s? How racist.
Mhm.
But that's everything. And today, while EliteAri was slacking, I rewatched, well, I think I watched for the first time 2 of them, but I rewatched all 3 of the Family Guy Star Wars spoofs, EliteAri. How many of those have you seen? None,
None.
he said.
Yep. I don't think I've seen any spoof thing of Star Wars. I'm sure I've come across it accidentally, maybe, but I've never really watched like full any like spoof
I bet
thing.
you've never even seen Family Guy. You don't like comedies.
I've seen some episodes, I'm sure. Um, but okay, so that's an interesting history. But let's just go right into it, I guess. What do you think about these movies on a rewatch now?
EliteAri, I gave every Family Guy spoof a 3 out of 5 stars, and every Star Wars movie a 4 out of 5 stars, EliteAri.
Oh
I'm
wow.
just as boring as you, pussy.
Yep. Well, that was what I gave them before. I guess for if we're giving my
Oh,
opinion, you know what? I did not enjoy watching the first movie. I thought the first movie was notably weaker than the other two by a long shot. And I didn't remember that in my memory. I thought they were all like the same. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's just like the original trilogy. They're all the same. The first one is definitely worse. I think I would give like just the first Star Wars a 3 out of 5. The other two I think are 4 out of 5. But
despicable.
yeah.
Wait, EliteAri, we got to explain that you're a little cuck. You're a little
In
prequel
what
cuck.
way?
You like those prequel movies the most.
Oh yeah, I love them. Yeah, the first. I
So
don't want
let
to say what
everybody
I think.
judge
No,
that because I'm gonna
yeah.
hate him next week. Or no, we're gonna do it in a few weeks.
Hmm.
But and just know that the audience is gonna love me and hate you.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I do love the prequels, but okay.
So you hated the first one. Unbelievable, EliteAri. That is the one that people retroactively try to say is the best one nowadays, because, it's cool. It's not cool to think Empire is the best one. So you got to say A New Hope, It was just set everything up. It was just so good.
Yeah, so I haven't seen any of that. I think unambiguously everyone says that Empire Strikes Back is still the best one. I think
That's
like
another funny thing is that
yeah.
I've almost certainly seen more like YouTube stuff about stuff. Well, you've probably seen a lot of reaction stuff. You've probably seen a lot of blind wave stuff. But
Mhm.
you've never watched a Red Letter Media review in your life, Alita. What do you know about Star Wars? And
Yeah.
I've seen all of the YouTube videos. I knew all the discourse before I ever watched any of these movies when I was 15 or whatever. So I'm very internet pilled on this Star Wars stuff. You don't know nothing. You just watch the shitty movies or something and think that's interesting.
Yeah, so I would say that I'm decently engaged with the Star Wars fandom. I'm decently aware of what they think. I was very aware when the sequel trilogy was coming out. I was watching a lot of like videos and stuff back then. I'd say these days with like, for instance, I haven't watched Skeleton Crew yet, and that's like a show that came out a few weeks ago. I haven't caught up with that, and I haven't, so I'm falling a bit off, these days. But I'd say I'm decently engaged. I watched all the Red Letter Media stuff. I think any Star Wars thing they've made, I've probably seen it. Obviously, I watch a bunch of blind wave reactions and other channels and stuff, and I'm sure I've seen a bunch of video essays. If of all the things that I'm involved in, like fandom wise, it is probably Star Wars is the one. It's either Star Wars or Attack on Titan. Those are like my two things, I guess, that I'm very familiar with. Like I would say my knowledge of Star Wars is I'm pretty confident, but I guess we'll see. Maybe I'll mess up here. We'll see. Maybe people will hate me. They're like, you got this wrong.
We should do a quiz of some
Oh,
kind.
yes.
On or something of like, not of the movies, Alita. Don't get stupid on me now. But of some weird internet shit, or like dumb behind the scenes facts that I know that I shouldn't know anything about.
Yeah. There's one thing I just remembered, which is my primary engagement with like my Star Wars fandom for many, many years was a podcast called Rebel Force Radio. And I have seen, I'd probably thousands of hours of that. And they're like two older kind of people. I think they're in their 40s, maybe 50s by now. And they're obviously like big original trilogy fans. Like they grew up when the movies were coming out, but they also love the prequels. And I think they like the sequels, but I think they got a little bit,
just fucking
they got a little bit annoyed by the work stuff,
right
I think, from memory, but maybe not.
Oh.
But yeah, I have a lot of random trivia that I've just heard from them over the years, just by osmosis. But yep, that's my history.
Did you know Jabba the Hutt was a boy, but then he was a slug? I know everything.
I don't think that's even true. I think it was like
no, it's not.
Yeah, there was a temp actor or something, and they replaced it, but they couldn't do it in the original release.
They were gonna figure it out, but then they didn't figure it out, and then they just said fuck it. But then they put him back in CGI. Now, EliteAri, there's just some funny things because when I was watching these movies, I remembered everything in these goddamn movies except one thing, EliteAri. Well, there might have been some other things. Everything in A New Hope, easy. Nothing happens in this movie, EliteAri. 3 long scenes. That's what this movie is. So I remembered it all. And then in Empire, I didn't remember them landing in an asteroid field and being in something's stomach, so that was all new to me. That was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. I was like, what is this? I thought we were going to the Sky City, and that's where most of this movie was. Only the last half an hour or something, my goodness. And I feel like I remembered vaguely something in Return of the Jedi that I didn't remember. But I can't remember it now. But that was very funny that it was just like this one asteroid scene. I was like, oh, this is like new stuff.
Yep.
This is crazy. I only watched these movies goddamn once. This is your 17th viewing, EliteAri.
You know what? For the original trilogy, I've probably only seen each one like 3 times or so. And I think the last time I watched it was like probably during like maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, I think. So it has been a while. But I remembered this very well. When I was watching, I'm like, oh yeah, this happens and this happens. It was kind of boring for that in that regard. I'm like, oh, I wish there was like some stuff I forgot. The stuff that stood out to me more, like small scenes, were like it'll be like Obi-Wan like standing for a long time and then like something going on behind him and I'm like, oh, I've never seen this before. Like I don't remember this scene, which lasts for like 2 minutes, and oh my god, Obi-Wan's like standing here for so long. It's crazy. Small things like that. But no like big scene where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm glad I forgot this and I could watch it with fresh eyes or anything.
Obi-Wan, what a weird old man, huh? What a weirdo. We don't
that
like
is
him
true, but a good actor. I think he kind of carried that first movie in terms of acting.
I've also heard. I was listening to the Kind of Funny podcast, EliteAri. They were talking. They do review series of all the most popular things. I only listened to like the first 70% of the first one. I think when we did X-Men, I listened to all of them before we talked, so that was funny. I chose to do Family Guy instead. Watch them all today, EliteAri. They also said this, that he was the best actor in this and everybody else was really bad. I thought his acting was really bad. I was like, this guy, like, Maybe it
Mhm.
wasn't the acting, maybe it was just his lines, but they like came out of nowhere,
Yeah,
and it's
that's
like,
true. I agree with that. The lines
yeah,
in the first movie, especially, they're very convoluted at times, and it sounds like they're just like reciting a line that they've like read from a script or something sometimes. Um, and I did not like the dialogue in that first movie. I think it got better.
see,
Like
I
I
don't
think the second one is a big step up in like every regard, including dialogue and just like acting and everything. I don't know why, but yeah, I don't know. He was fine. I liked his acting. It was good.
probably.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think most of the other actors are like that. Like, there's like the meme that like Leia's one line about stench is like the worst line in the history of cinema,
that
and like, oh, it
was
is
pretty
kind of
bad.
cringe.
Yeah.
Um, the and then Luke is like really earnest at times, and that's kind of annoying. But I don't think it's necessarily bad acting. I don't know. I just
No,
thought this
yeah.
Obi-Wan, he was like, ugh.
I think it might even be a thing where it's like he's out of place because he is such a better actor than
Yeah,
everyone else there, or like he's doing a different style of acting. I don't know what it is, but his performance
the
seems like it's
voice is
very
cool, I guess.
how do you describe it? It's like um
Traditional
yeah, I guess traditional is probably the best way to say
theater.
it. And the other ones feel like it's more like these are like new actors acting for the first time, and I don't know. I don't even know if they are new actors. I don't think they are. I think maybe Harrison Ford is or something, but
You know what he is, or something, is what I heard. And
yeah.
he's also like 35 in this movie, and that was something I did notice. I was like, oh my god, he looks old, and
Mhm.
this is the first one. This is crazy. I thought he would
Yeah.
look like 25, but he's like 35. But
Yep.
that's all right, literally.
But yeah,
Um,
the other
but
actor though, the Tarkin actor, Grand Moff Tarkin, I don't, Peter Cushing or something is his name, I think. He was really great. Every scene he was in, he basically stole it.
remember when we CGI'd him later? That was pretty cool. That's the
True, that
only.
was really
That
cool.
is one thing. When everybody, there was so much discourse about him in Rogue One and I was like, I don't remember this character at all. Like, I have
Hmm.
absolutely no memory why this guy's significant or why he needs to be in this movie or that he even got CGI'd. So that
Yep,
was always funny. But
he's in like 3 scenes in this in the first movie. Um,
true. And then
it
he
is
fucking gets
actually
blown up.
that is a thing that I just thought about when I'm watching this because I've seen a lot of different Star
Every
Wars
background
things.
character is a popular guy.
Like everything is referenced. Like there's so many scenes here that are referenced in later things. Like the most obscure, like there's this one conversation they're having that is like the stormtroopers are talking really quietly while like everyone is doing something, and that's referenced in like the Force Awakens, and it's like there's everything is like referenced later. It is crazy. Um,
It
but
is.
yeah.
That is kind of like the old red letter media talking point was always like, oh, Star Wars' universe isn't big enough to be like iterated on this much to the point where it's like, oh, we go back over everything and every little detail is like. But obviously, I don't have any like lag with that because I don't remember any of this Force Awakens nonsense or any of these other
Mm,
iterations we're gonna see later.
yep.
I will say some some of the tonal things like part of me's like, maybe we shouldn't have had any of these aliens in this movie. Like, what are we doing here? Look at these dumb
Mm.
masks. But part of it's like, oh, I'm sure the kids love the alien. And then
Okay,
it
maybe.
like later, it's like, especially in the Java scene, it's like, okay, I guess it's kind of cool. But then it's also like, I don't know, it's just dumb logistical stuff you think of that probably doesn't matter at all. But whatever, it's like, so they all breathe the same stuff, or what do we
Yep.
do? How does this one doesn't even have a mouth? What's going on here? But it's kind of like that with the droids too, where it's like, oh, what is this little droid doing? And you even see like the destroyed ones, and you're like, what was this one doing? This one over here with the
Hmm.
17 limbs and the something something. Um,
Yep.
but also that's like imaginative, so maybe that's a good thing. Who knows? Anyway. Oh,
Yeah,
another preamble question, EliteAri. Did you watch? Oh, I assume you watched all these on Disney Plus.
I did indeed. Yep.
Now I tried to watch them on my trusty DVDs, but they wouldn't work or something. I was annoyed, just like with X-Men.
Hmm.
So I did watch on Disney Plus. I only remember noticing this at the beginning of A New Hope, but like all the long shots would have like weird things on it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, like random additions of like a stormtrooper's doing a funny action was like a weird alien that's like
No, no,
doing
no,
a
no, not
goofy.
the additions.
Oh
I'm
wait,
talking about
no.
like picture quality.
Wait,
I'm
what do
talking
you
about
mean?
like it could have been my internet or something, but it would be like, you know how like on the outline sometimes there's like it feels like there's like lines drawn on it or something, but it's not.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
almost certain
yeah.
it's not intentional. It's just like sometimes
I didn't
I don't
notice
even know
that.
what the
I don't
example of
know.
a thing like that. But whatever. I guess I stopped noticing it, but I remember at the beginning, that's like my first note. I'm like, long shots look bad on Disney Plus, and I was like, I bet on my trusty DVDs these would look great,
Hmm.
which is probably not true at all. But
I
who
have no
knows? That was
idea.
the weird thing. I think that's the only Disney Plus related note I have about any of it. There you go. Disney
Yep.
Plus Elite area, I give them money. Can you believe it? I never use it.
Yep, it was a fine experience for me, except the quality was bad sometimes, but that's how it goes with Disney Plus. It is the worst of all the streaming
Because you
services, I
can't
think.
change the quality yourself.
I think you can like choose, but maybe not. Not like granularly like Crunchyroll or something. But yeah, it's okay. We suffered through it. Okay, I've seen these movies before. We don't need it to be in 4K, although that would be good.
I
But
want it in 4K.
okay,
Oh, you
I
can
have
get the
a.
4K original if you look on the internet, EliteAri.
I would never do that. However, that might be how I watched it like 5, 6 years ago. I vaguely remember something like that, but I would never admit to that, I guess. But one thing about quality, just, you know, tangentially related, because I have miscellaneous notes here. It's crazy how it's very noticeable with Vader, but it's noticeable in like every kind of set and costume and everything, that the first movie is notably way worse. Like, especially when you look at Vader and see how like non-polished he is and how rough of like a costume it is and how he moves around, it looks really awkward and stuff. And as you go into the future movies, like the second and the third, firstly, he looks incredibly polished, as they like created this like new outfit for him entirely. And he moves really well. And I feel like this is the case with everything, with like all the aliens, with all the costumes, everything. Did you notice anything like this?
I guess, yeah, kind of. Obviously, even that's like the fighting thing is also like, oh, in the first one, what is Obi-Wan even doing?
Oh
What an
god,
old
yeah.
man. And then the second one, it's like, oh, it's kind of a fight. It's kind of cool. And then in the third one, it's a little bit better.
Yeah.
And then the next one, Elite, or Yoda's going to be doing a triple flip or
Oh,
something.
that's gonna be sick.
And it's
Oh
going to
my
be
god.
terrible. It's going to
Mhm.
be terrible. Disgusting it's going to be. I know that's in like the second one. EliteAri, calm down. It's certainly not in the first one. It could be in the third one. I don't know these fucking things.
Mhm.
Now, Yoda, let's talk about this little. No, we'll talk about him later, EliteAri. What did you just say? Oh, the costuming? I guess I didn't notice it that much. I guess I was just like, oh, when you start up the first one, you're like, oh, this one's old, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna look a little funny sometimes.
But the second one looks so modern. Empire looks like, it looks so great. Just visually, everything looks great in that movie. It's crazy. Like even from the first shot, like it's like even it looks like it's better directed. Everything. I don't know. I'm glad George Lucas didn't direct that one. I guess.
True, we got rid of George Lucas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is a crazy thing
And then
to
he
think
came
about.
back later.
Yeah, like he just decided I'm gonna write the next two and not direct them. It's kind of crazy, but yeah.
Directing's probably hard and annoying.
Yeah,
and he
probably
lost
is.
his voice or something while he was directing the first one, so he had to put cards up or something. I know it all,
Maybe.
EliteAri. You don't got to tell me twice.
Mhm.
Now, EliteAri, my only overall point here, which I forgot to write down, but I've since remembered. Hey, my computer's trying to go to sleep on me, EliteAri. Can you believe that?
Mhm.
The Star Wars, EliteAri. You know, recently I had a funny talk about how Challenges was about the vibe or something, and that The Godfather's only the best movie of all time because of the vibe. EliteAri, Star Wars, the original Star Wars trilogy. It's just so the 4 starsness, the greatness of it. You know, whatever. It's not 5 stars. It's 4 stars. The
Mhm.
greatness of it, EliteAri, comes from the vibe. You know, you're just in a little spaceship. You're doing your little dots and stuff, and your voice sounds a little cool. And then you're over the intercom or whatever it's called, and you're like, wanting to land a permission. And then the other guy on the other end goes, what's your code 777? And then you're like, oh, Star Wars is pretty cool. And then you go down and you land on the little mat thingy in the Death Star or whatever, and like the floor's all shiny and stuff. That's why Star Wars is cool, EliteAri, and that's why it vibes its way to 4 stars. You know, if I'm thinking 4 stars, you know, that means it's pretty good, EliteAri. What do I like? These characters, they're okay, you know, they're going around, they're doing a little thingy. That Han Solo, he's a little funny. That Leia, she's a little feisty. Luke gets really cool at the end. Can you believe that? He's like sexy and stuff too. He used to be annoying. You know, we got I don't know, Darth Vader. He's menacing and stuff. You got Lando Calrissian. He's pretty cool too. Chewbacca, he makes noises. Like, oh, these are okay, but it's the vibe, EliteAri. It elevates it all up, you know.
Yeah. I think I generally agree, actually. Well, mainly just for this trilogy. The other ones are very different.
Oh, and it's important, EliteAri. I'll forget. Okay, I'll forget.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's important because I'm assuming this is the only. Like, this is like the magic of like the original. Like, this is why the prequels suck, because they're not like that and they're slapsticky or something. And like, this is probably this vibe is probably only possible back then, even if you try to replicate it. Like, I don't know, maybe Rogue One attempts to, from my memory. I don't remember. I feel like it'll just look different. It'll sound different. It just won't ever be the same. So it's like a unique thing to these 3 movies, and you know, that's cool. Something. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think all 3 trilogies go for a very different vibe, and they very clearly achieve that vibe, I think. I don't know. What was I saying about I like the vibe, but there's one other thing I liked a lot that stood out surprisingly, because I wasn't looking forward to it at all. It was like something that I was like, oh yeah, that happens in the trilogy, is the romance stuff. I like that actually, with Han and Leia. That stood out to me as like, oh, this is really cute.
But what about Leia and Luke?
You know what? I guess I didn't feel anything because I guess I knew that they were siblings and it wasn't going to work out. I don't know. It's a bit weird. But yeah,
Well, it was pretty cool. It is kind of just be mean to each other thing, but I don't know. It's old EliteAri. You can get away with it. It was cute.
Okay, that's good. Well, we'll see if I have any miscellaneous notes on that.
That means he does.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. This is such an unstructured discussion. Do you want me to just keep going through my notes of A New Hope? I don't know.
Well,
Vader.
If you want to go first, sure.
Darth Vader in this first movie is very, well, not very, but slightly out of character. In two regards. One, he is very like sassy and short-tempered, and he has like one-liners and stuff, and it's like kind of strange. And he has like this whole speech about the importance of the Force and how the Force is like nothing compared, or the start of the, oh my god, what's it called? The Death Star is nothing compared to the power of the Force.
That's one point
and
out
it's
trivia quest to me.
Yeah, true. But it's so like, it feels out of character. Like, he doesn't really care about that stuff in the other two movies, and it feels like it doesn't line up with any of the Anakin stuff that comes up in the prequels or any of the sequels or anything like that. It's like, did Vader actually care about the Force in this way? I don't know. It just feels different in this first movie. But I think it's different in a...
He's not going to line up EliteAri.
Yeah.
I think.
Perhaps, yeah. But a lot of people, like, for instance, Blind Wave, and a lot of other people out there, I'm sure, most people who watch the original trilogy and love it so much, they do place, like, this first movie, and I guess the other two as well, on a really high pedestal, as though it's, like, everything is, like, it's so well set up, and all the rest of them flow from this, and yeah, it's like it has a great established lore, and I don't know, I feel like it's a bit flimsy.
One of the funny things is people are always like, J.J. Abrams didn't have a plan, when there's, like...
Clearly
a lot of retconning going on in this first one. So,
absolutely.
Which is fine. Obviously, retconning's not that big of an issue, but it's just like it's a double a hypocrisy thing, EliteAri. And if there's one thing I hate,
I don't know, anime. What do you hate?
It's hypocrisy.
Oh, hypocrisy, of course. Yeah. Okay.
Well, that is true because
yeah.
The other defining thing of like, I guess the first movie is kind of the. Is that a retcon, brother? What are you doing here? Like, obviously, there's my father. Darth Vader killed your father, and there's like Obi-Wan is probably. I'm pretty sure in that Obi-Wan show, he's gonna be more invested in like Luke's life rather than him just like showing up out of nowhere or something. And there's and then I don't know. There's like other things. I feel like these are like universal jokes of like. Luke sure got over his aunt and uncle getting fried very quickly.
He definitely did,
and shit like that. But he was sad in the scene before, so that one was okay, EliteAri. He was worried, and then he was sad, but then we were just moving on quick. Even though this is a slow movie, they didn't know what they were doing. EliteAri.
God, it's a slow movie. Oh my god, and it's so long. This feels like a long movie. This first movie, like when they, I wish they ended it like after they got out of the Death Star. They escaped with Leia, like all the stuff afterwards.
It is
I'm like,
true,
oh
where
my
it's
god,
like,
we have to watch this bit now, where they like send the ships.
It was
like,
like,
oh my god.
Because you're talking about the Obi-Wan stuff. Because in my head, it's like, oh, Obi-Wan dies at the end. Pretty cool. But no, it's like there's like another like act kind of where we got to destroy the Death Star. It's like, oh yeah. Though I think one of my miscellaneous notes here at the end is like, oh, we're on a green planet. This is kind of cool. What a change. So I like that EliteAri. It was pretty cool.
Amazing. Okay.
Now, what were we talking about? Oh, the retconning stuff. I don't know. I don't think I care about that anymore. I feel like I cared a lot about that when I was watching the first one, but who cares?
What's your opinion on the various like addition changes that George Lucas has made? What do you think?
Terrible,
you don't have to know what they are, but
right?
so you think as a concept,
every time
it's like
I would
terrible
see
thing?
something stupid, I would tab over, I would look it up, and I'd be like, oh, well, that was an addition. Just like a lot of it was like slapsticky stuff. Now, EliteAri, I'm primed. I'm gonna love this Jar Jar guy, but then I see this, and I'm like, oh, this is like Jar Jar stuff. This isn't good. I don't like this at all. But maybe in the tone of those movies, it'll work. So everybody calm down. Jar Jar's the best.
Yeah.
Now, there's other things where it's just like, Jabba really looks ugly in that first movie. He kind of looks better. Well, I assume it's actually the puppet in the third one or something. But, in that first, that scene with Han Solo, he's like, oh, this is like an ugly little guy here. He doesn't look too good. I'm sure there are other examples I wrote down in here somewhere. But there's like the one of like the dinosaur looking thing they're riding at some point, I think. But they seemed all bad. There is the no that I think is okay, which I feel like is the most shit on one. But that's in the next movie. I don't know if you want to talk about that now.
The no, you mean like wait, which no you'll be talking about specifically? The one at the end.
Oh, it's in the third movie, EliteAri, of course.
Yeah.
Vader's no.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I had no issue with it.
I remember. I remember being in the car with my parents, and we were one of them, and they were just on the radio. They were randomly like playing a clip from this before I'd seen any Star Wars, shitting on the No edition. So that's always stuck with me. It's just on like the normal like Triple M or whatever it's called radio station, and they were just like, we're gonna take a break from our thingy here to talk about how George Lucas messed up Star Wars, and look at this Vader No, isn't it stupid? And I was like, oh, so that stuck with me for a long time, EliteAri. I just want to say they're wrong.
So there's one thing that I don't know is a change, but I have to assume is a change, is in this first movie when the stormtrooper hits his head and it makes a bonk sound. Like, do you think is that a change? Are you familiar with that?
Oh yeah, I think
because that was
kind of funny, guys.
terrible.
Oh
yeah, that was
they like did a thing.
I hated it
didn't
because
see it.
well, it's
because I was waiting for it. I didn't see it.
No, I didn't see it, and I didn't like pay attention to it until I heard the noise, and I'm like, oh, it's meant to be like a comedy scene now. Did we just make this into a comedy thing, or we add a sound effect? And I was like, oh, that kind of ruins the tension of the scene here.
It's kind of like an inside joke, you've seen this movie
I hate
before,
when that happens.
So now that you're rewatching it this time, it's like funny.
Yeah, then I don't like those inside jokes.
For like the first time ever on a thing similar to this, I did notice the Wilhelm scream every time they did it, and they did do it a lot. So that's something that I've never, like, people will complain about that, and I'm like, oh, you'd never actually notice that, but I did it like 4 times. So
so just on this special edition, like adding stuff, firstly, I generally agree where whenever there's like a random CGI creature that's like clearly not from the original trilogy, I feel like it bothers me basically, but I feel like if they just blended it better, like I think it would be fine. And I think they could just go back and do it again now. So like, why I guess they don't. George Lucas isn't in charge.
It is
anymore,
funny that it's like a fake argument, right? You shouldn't change the original trilogy. It looks terrible. But even if you made it look good, I'm pretty sure those people would still be like, you still shouldn't be changing things. It's like the change at all that they dislike, not that it looks bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, Star Wars fans, don't worry. Once I'm done with this, I'll be in the trenches, EliteAri. I'll be making fun of them left and right.
Yeah, sure. Now the one thing is that I don't think I've ever really looked up like what are all the changes that have been made.
There's a Wikipedia page I have.
Yeah, there's probably like a bunch of changes that I didn't even notice, and I probably thought were really cool. And I know, for instance, when there was the scene where they're entering Mos Eisley, or like how do I describe it? You know what Mos Eisley is in the first movie?
Is it the bar?
Yeah, where the bar is. And they're going in, and there's like that shot with all the like stormtroopers that are doing stuff, and there's like the CGI animals, and there's like a bunch of cityscape stuff. I thought it was just like adding in those CG things, but then the actual like whole background and like everything is like added in post, like in separately. And I think all that stuff looks really cool. I think it's just like part of the additions in that particular scene that are bad. So it's like I think there's like stuff that just flies under the radar that are like actually good changes, but not all of them. So yeah.
Maybe a good change is one that you don't notice. Oh, but the other 2 like big changes are like obviously the Han thing, which I don't really care about at all.
What's the Han
thing? Did he
thing?
shoot first? EliteAri?
Oh, that true, McClunky, yeah.
Or the worst one, actually, now that I'm remembering it, is when we're seeing like all the what I'm assuming are the prequel planets.
That was awesome. I love that change. Oh my god.
I thought I was like, what are these planets I've never seen before? Why are we like? Now, on the opposite end, it is kind of a very weird end to the movie where it's just like, oh, they're having like a party with like 17 people and a bunch of Ewoks, and like there's fireworks in the background. So I get that, like, oh, maybe it should be a grander celebration or something, but I don't know. Cut into these I assume like, if I've seen the prequels, like they should be all celebrating. But the fact that we've never referenced like any cities at all, like the fact that we go to the Sky City and it's like, oh, this is like a small city, when I'm like, this is the only place we've ever seen in the galaxy. Like this is the galaxy right here. This one place. Don't tell me it's a small city and imply that there's big, like in Star Wars, I'm not thinking cities. I'm thinking outposts and something and space stations. All the people live on the Death Star, right? There's no cities. But yeah, and then at the end, we're just being shown cities. But maybe if you've seen the prequels, you're like, that's Malum. One of them starts with an M, I think.
Malachor. Yes, you're right. Well done.
No, that's not. I was thinking of Mabu or something.
Oh yeah, Naboo, true.
Naboo, Mabu, Momo, no, who knows?
True. Okay. Well, any notes you want to say? I have a bunch more.
A bunch, EliteAri. Let me read some. Very simple things are happening rather slow. That is not to say not much happens. That is not to say that not much happens, I think is what I meant. In the same way, it's also very complicated. It's never boring. Then it feels very fast. True. What a bunch of contradictions, EliteAri. It was complicated, but it was simple. And it was also fast, But well, it was very slow, but then sometimes it was fast. Like when we're getting over Uncle Ben very quickly, but
Mm-hmm.
also we're on Tatooine or whatever it's called for 45 minutes or something. Get me
Mm-hmm.
out of here. And also, it's just like Luke going to see a guy and then coming back and then going to a thing and then going to a fight on a star and then blowing up the star thing. But sometimes you got some complicated dialogues going on here. Leia and something. Oh, remember when Leia's gonna get tortured by a bunch of needles and stuff, but
Yeah.
she gets through it, EliteAri. She's
Mm-hmm.
what a first note, EliteAri. Now you do a note.
The best scene in this first movie. What do you think it is? I have a clear one.
Oh, let me think, EliteAri. The first movie. We love this great first movie.
There's no way you're getting it. But what's
Han
yours? I guess.
Solo's gonna be in it.
No.
I can't pick one. Go ahead.
All right. The best scene in this first movie is the first scene where like Tarkin walks in on the council and the Empire and sorry, on the Death Star, and they're all like talking about like, oh my god, this, and we need to do this and this, and he walks in and is like, oh, the Senate is no
Rebel
longer an
something
issue.
the Senate
Yeah,
is gone.
the
care about
Emperor
this in
has
the
dissolved the
prequels. My name's
Senate.
EliteAri.
Oh my gosh, and I don't think it has anything to do with the prequels, the intrigue there. I think what's so cool about it is that it establishes that there's like a government that this empire is like responsible for that is no longer there, and it sets up that there's an emperor and stuff, and it shows Vader's place kind of as well, because it's like he's subservient to this Tarkin guy, and it's like, whoa, this is like kind of strange, and like what like it's interesting, and it shows there's like politics in this world, like with this council that's like talking about politics, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool. I like this scene a lot. Yeah,
It is cool from the world building perspective of like, oh, Senate, what are we doing here? I thought this was just like a spaceship thingy.
yeah.
It is, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, EliteAri, but it does feel like, oh, how convenient. And it's just like, oh, that thing exists, but we don't have to worry about it. It's just like, it's almost world building for like, it's not necessarily unnecessary, but it's just like, oh, world building thing, disregard it. Just think about how cool that is, and we don't have to worry. I don't know, it's fine. It's just
It's
like,
cool. It's the
I don't
best
know, in
scene
the
in the
moment
movie.
you're like, what? And it's gone, and it's
Name a better scene in this movie, Kyle. Go ahead.
Han Solo, one time he shows up and he says,
Yippee! I don't know. What does he say?
No, that's in the Phantom Menace when we say yippee. I don't know. Leave me alone. How about that?
All right, excellent. I bet you love
thought
the
of another overall
the
thought.
twin stars there when Luke is looking at him. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, it's kind of cool. He's got two sons.
Yeah.
Something. Another overall thought is that Star Wars makes war just seem so cool, EliteAri. Don't you just want to go and fight it as a rebellion?
It does have a strange element of like Luke is like killing people. I'm like, this is kind of strange. I feel like he'd be bothered by this a little bit, but he's not. He never once is like, oh, I just killed someone. Oh no, it is legitimately like
he blew up trillions of people on that.
Not even that. Who cares? That's like a distant thing. But he like directly like shoots people to death when he probably didn't have to at some points, and it is a little bit jarring.
Stabbing all those aliens and stuff.
Yeah.
But no, it's not even that. I think this is another vibe thing, and this is like the thing that stuck with me from my first viewing is that like, oh, my favorite scenes are like when the stormtroopers come around the corner and we start shooting at them for a little bit for like 20 seconds and then we run off. But like I like them hiding in cover and then peeking out and shooting one, but then they hide again and then a few more shots go past and then they shoot another one, but there's still 4 of them and then they run away. It's the coolest thing ever. It's like these little skirmishes that you could have with like your Nerf guns when you're a little kid.
Yeah, you would like this.
And
this is the most Black Lagoon thing I've heard in my life. It is so boring in this when they're like, oh, we're shooting and shooting is cool, isn't it cool? We love shooting, guys. Look at this cool stuff.
Black Lagoon. Star Wars shooting is cool. And then like when they're in the trenches, it's like, oh, I want to be in a trench in a video game and shoot a thingy in here, and they're all gonna come up in waves, and and then also like even the Starfighter thing, you're like in the sky or something and you're doing a little shoot thing. It's like, oh, you missed them, but now they're coming back around and you can get them again. Or the little logistical war things, EliteAri. It's just epic. And it's even cool when they're like, oh, we got the intel from here, and how did we get the intel? And they let us this thing, and will this work? And they just gone through the logistics there. It's just like war.
I do like epic. That. Yeah. I feel like I had something to say about this. Fighting. Oh, there was no. This is like a bit of a irrelevant point, I guess, kind of, or unrelated. I wonder at what point, and it must be this first movie because a lot of kids watched it. At what point were lightsabers like perceived as being cool? Because in this first movie, they are not cool. They're very like flimsy and weird, and like they look kind of thin and like ugly.
The sound.
Maybe I feel like it must be like when the prequels came out, but obviously people loved like lightsabers before then. But they look so much like they look cool in the prequels, like as though I'd want to own something like that. In these ones, they're kind of like, oh, this is like a weird stick thing, and it's like it's weird flickery, and I don't quite like it, and it doesn't seem very cool to me. But
like a light sword, it turns off and on, EliteAri. It's cool.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, just a Just a thing
Also,
about
all
cool
swords
stuff.
are cool. Don't you just want to go in the background with the cricket stumps and try and hit your brother with them, and he's got one?
Absolutely not.
What I used to do when I was a little kid. Now, but I was being a Ninja Turtle because those were cooler, and that's something I watched when I was a kid, not shitty Star Wars. Now, is it my turn?
Yep, go ahead.
Acting being a bit weird in terms of pretending to get shot. Oh, true. There's like a famously EliteAri Casablanca, the greatest movie of all time. But at the end, that bad guy gets shot, and it's like the fakest looking I got shot thing of all time. There's no blood, and he just falls down, but he falls down kind of gingerly. Leia does that at the beginning when she gets stun shot. It's very funny how she falls down. It looks very fake. And I feel like there's some other examples of that here. It's, they didn't used to know how to get shot like they do, they do in the 90s. You got to figure that out. Feels very old compared to even older movies because it's trying to have practical effects, I guess. Masks looking weird, costumes looking cheap. It is kind of, I guess, Casablanca is my go-to example. It's like, shut up, EliteAri. There's no way I agreed with you. Casablanca comes out like 30 years before this. Now, obviously, it's in black and white, EliteAri, so that's kind of a big difference. But other than that, you'd be like, oh, these are probably contemporary, They still haven't figured out how you get shot, and, there's weird stuff, I will say, because obviously everybody's like, oh, the effects in these movies, they're so much better than the prequels, because, they're real.
Not
that
true.
was the old talking point.
Oh, God.
And, sometimes it looks really good. Like, I have no idea how they made the space battles look good, because they do look good.
That is true. But, I agree to that, yeah.
They use models or something.
But the prequels even look better in that regard. Like, that's unambiguously, everyone would agree that the space stuff in the prequels looks amazing. There's no way people would disagree with that.
I'll be the determining factor on that.
All right.
Now, but there are, like, things that do look bad. Like, even something that looks good is, like, the weird flying ship that they have in the first movie where it goes fast. That looks kind of good. I have no idea how they did that.
You mean like on?
But then there's even a thing
on the like actual planet.
Tatooine, EliteAri?
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I did. There was that one shot where it's like a bit in the distance and it's like weirdly like miragey or whatever, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. How did they do that?
There's also just the weird shot where they're just standing on the cliff looking over at the thing, but it just looks cool, and that's why it's here. That was kind of cute. But there's things like the chase sequence in Return of the Jedi. It looks cool like 75% of the time. But like the other 25% of the time, it looks like really like this.
Like it's obvious like compositing,
yeah.
Yeah.
There's got to be like much more of that in the first movie. I'm just not like thinking of it right now. But there's definitely like because it is like the payoff of like, well, effects are going to look bad eventually, right? Who knows if that's true? Who knows if we'll ever think the great Thanos looked bad or not?
Yeah.
Or if we finally gotten here. But yeah, it's kind of the end. I guess CGI is better than practical effects, probably. Huh?
Yeah, so, it depends. I think what it came down to, I had like a realization when I was watching this. I think it was when I was watching like an AT-AT, which is like those big things that are walking on the snow. When they're walking, no, the AT-AT. That's what I'm talking about.
They do look very stop motion.
Yeah, they look stop motion, and there is a bunch of stop motion in these movies, and it's very clear whenever it happens. I mean, maybe there's some points it happens and I don't notice.
The things they ride in the second one, now, the little thingy, in the snow.
Oh, the Tauntaun things.
Animals.
Yeah, true. Yeah. What I was gonna say is that takes me out way more than CGI takes me out. I don't know why. Like, and I've had this issue. It's a thing it's a problem with me, I guess, because it happens when I'm even watching like just TV shows that are at a low frame rate. Whenever it happens, I'm like, this is terrible. And especially in a movie where like half the thing is like the background is at a normal rate, and then like this weird stop motion thing is happening at like a reduced frame rate. It really takes me out of it. And I feel like it's a similar way to when people are watching the prequels and they see like an otherwise like real set and this weird like CG thing in the middle of it, and it's like it takes you out because like there's like a distinct difference between like the actual thing of focus in the background. Yeah, and I feel the exact same way with the stop motion. Probably worse so. So in my opinion, I do agree. I think CGI generally looks better. But I don't know. A lot of people like this, so I mean I'm definitely in the minority. But yeah.
Well, it's obviously nostalgia goggles. Let's make fun of old people. Now also, I don't know. I think it's. I'm probably gonna think both are cute. I think it's just like, oh, it's like an old movie. This is cool. I like that I'm watching an old movie. This makes me feel intelligent. So fuck taking you out of it, EliteAri. I still like it. Except when I don't, which was sometimes, I guess. And,
what is
okay?
Wait.
About the prequels.
I am curious what you think, because what do you think about Yoda in the second movie?
Yoda looks fine.
Okay, so I disagree. I always thought that Yoda looked really good in this, like better than the prequels. But now watching it, to me, he just looks like a puppet. He doesn't even look alive to me. I'm like, oh, it's obviously a puppet. Like he's like over exaggerating his movement and stuff. And yeah, to me, it really stood out. Like I think the best he has looked
Sometimes
and
I
will look is like in The Last Jedi or whatever. Like because when I
what?
well, there's like you get like scenes and stuff, you know, spoilers, I guess, but
He's gonna have a flashback or something.
yeah, it looks really good there basically, and I thought it basically they were trying to mimic this movie, but they just made this movie but like better, I guess, which makes sense with modern technology. But I did not like the way Yoda looked in this. But yeah, anyway.
I think it is like a modern brain with me sometimes, where I think I just saw Yoda and just assumed he was like CGI or something. Now, obviously, I know they can't do CGI that good back then, but it's like I didn't even think about it at all. I was like, oh, you know, CGI like Thanos, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it is just to say,
I feel like there were definitely puppets where I was like, oh, that's a puppet, and that kind of looks bad. I just don't remember which ones it would have been.
well, I guess all the stuff in Jabba's palace, any of those stick out as like, oh, it's a puppet?
Well, really? No, all the aliens kind of look bad. The
well,
like the
let me
saxophone playing ones or whatever.
Let me just say, with the puppet thing, I think it is again. It's a very similar thing where there's going to be a puppet Yoda and there's going to be a CGI Yoda, and there's going to be people who are taken up by both because they both think it's lifeless. And to me, for some reason, the CGI doesn't look lifeless, but the puppet does. So I don't know.
CGI is like real life. What are you, stupid? I saw Thanos.
So true.
You just put you put that Josh Brolin guy's face on there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, do you want me to keep going? Any other notes on anything?
Well, I got like 17 more notes, but you know, I think it's your turn.
All right, I got 2 notes. One of them, the Death Star sets. I think they look pretty good in this first movie. Never stood out as bad or anything.
Shiny floors, cool. EliteAri. Shiny floors. We love the shiny floors. We love the corridors.
You know what? I don't even remember if there were shiny floors, but I'll take it. Maybe they were.
They're not shiny, they're reflective, EliteAri. Those are different things.
Yeah. And my last note on this first movie is I guess I kind of said this before, but it's kind of a little bit crazy that people elevate this movie so highly, because to me it does feel just about as like poor and like goofy as like all the other movies, like all the prequels, all the sequels. They all kind of feel the same to me in this regard. Like the I don't know how to describe it, but it's like the goofiness and like the weird, like, I don't know, the weird world and stuff. It's all strange that people elevate this. Like, for instance, if you go on IMDb, these are like some of the highest rated, like critically acclaimed, like, oh my gosh, they're so amazing. But it kind of just feels like all the same to me, all these Star Wars movies. But I don't know. It's a strange feeling I had.
It's because they're old and old people, you know, you just got to figure it out. Now, I don't know, it's kind of goofy in parts, but like the Ewoks are probably the goofiest part, but I really like the Ewok. So, C-3PO is like a goofy guy, and you know, he's having his little fights with R2-D2, and you know, they're splitting up. Pretty cool. That was cool.
Mm-hmm. I like them. They're funny.
And they reunited. Crazy. I guess it's goofy. What else is goofy in this first one?
It's just like the things they're saying, like the weird, I wish I had examples. I probably should have written them, but like things Luke is saying about like Tatooine and the small things he's doing there and stuff are like kind of goofy. And
I wanted to go to the market to get some power converters. That was the worst one.
Kind of, yeah, stuff like that, random things like that. Or like, I don't know, I wish I had any other examples, but I don't. All that stuff is goofy. There's probably some stuff on the Death Star where they're like kind of, I don't know, they're like running around a bit goofily and stuff, and it's like, well, people like think this is like
the stormtroopers are constantly goofy. The fact that anybody thinks these things is cool is like ridiculous.
Well, is there
like,
people?
Their
I don't even know.
Voices are so funny and cute. It's like,
do people think they're cool?
They're not like threatening at all. It's, I don't know, they're cool, but like they're not like.
I mean,
I
even
feel like people are like, man, stormtroopers, the coolest armor of all time.
You know,
strike fear into you at a glance.
I would dare say, even in this first movie, Darth Vader's a bit goofy. Like some of the ways he delivers his lines, some of the things he says, he's a bit goofy. The way he waddles around in this first movie, the other two, it's like amazing. It works great, but in this one, it looks a bit weird and wobbly. And
I don't remember
like
any waddle.
there's this the way he turns around sometimes, and like there's this one scene. I think this is like it has to be a mistake in the movie, but like he's speaking and then he stops speaking, but his hand's still moving in front of it, and it's like, oh, clearly the dialogue was like removed for this bit, and I'm like, oh, okay.
I feel like I remember something like that too.
Yeah, there's a bunch of small things like that about Vader that I'm like, this is goofy, but people love it, so I don't know. Yeah.
No, he comes in and he choke forces you, so you know you got to be scared at every moment, and you know he's like scary. But even then, I just like I got a flash of Voldemort in my head, and I'm like he's way more like menacing and stuff. But I guess people think he's goofy, so I don't know. Because Voldemort would have similar scenes where he'd be having a meeting with his cronies, and I guess it's never like cronies were never mouthing off to him. They would just be scared and say the wrong thing, and he would just kill them or something.
I feel like there isn't any. I can't imagine any goofiness in Voldemort. To me, the only goofy thing is like if you think his appearance is funny.
So over the top that he's goofy, or it's like that thing, like or they like mock the voice or something like that. Obviously, Voldemort's the coolest of all time, so I won't take any slander like that from here. But
Mhm.
also, Vader is the coolest of all time. EliteAri is just trying to bash on this great first movie. I don't believe
I think he's great in the next two. It's just that first one. But yeah, that's
he
all I
does
know is to this
change
first
what.
movie.
I don't know. I feel like Darth Vader's like reputation, like, is kind of completely removed from like the character in the movies, but I think the reputation is like what makes him scary or something. Because the reputation is like he's the bad guy in Star Wars, but he's like constantly getting cucked. Like he's like the second in command, and like every time he gets near one of the main characters and he could kill them, he doesn't. It's
Mhm.
like, but I'm like still scared he's going to at some point or something like that. It's kind of funny. And then towards the end, like you kind of feel like completely safe with the like Vader is not the one you're scared of at the for like the whole second
Mhm.
half of the last movie. I don't know. It's kind of funny.
I think
He's
it's
not
actually that is interesting though. It is like the best scene in that third, or not the best
yeah,
one, but one of the
cool.
best ones is when he's like, "It's too late for me, my son," or whatever. I'm like, oh wow, he actually like considered it for a second.
Oh, that was the
Like
thing I didn't remember from Return of the Jedi. They have like a talk where they're leaning on
yeah,
the thing or something. I was like, I don't remember this at all.
yeah,
I remember him being just mean to Luke until he saves him at the end, and then they have the talk afterwards. But he's like on his side before that. Well,
yeah.
kind of. That
Yep.
was funny. Also, it's just like the Lupin Harry Potter scene because Harry Potter and stuff.
So true.
Anyway,
But
now
there
I've
is
got,
one
like,
thing to say. One more thing about Vader. It's the starkest contrast you will ever see in your life is if you watch this first movie and Vader scenes in this, and then you watch Rogue One and see him come at the end with this cool like stuff,
True.
and it's
I
like
remember that
ominous and
Rogue One
scary,
scene.
and
He kills
yeah,
them all at the beginning or whatever.
it's a night and
It's
day
like,
like
see, that's the
difference.
reputation thing. They haven't
Yeah.
watched the movies in 30 years, and they're writing off reputation there, earlier. Anyway,
No, that's fine because in the next two, he's better. It's just this first one is so goofy. The next two are like, I get it. He's sitting on the chair in that like Cloud City thing, and like, oh, he's like ominous and scary, and he's like aware, like on top of things.
it's like a cool reveal, but he doesn't do anything.
He like pulls the gun with his hand. It's like kind of
around
cool.
him.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
He's cool in those next two. He's got cool scenes.
Well,
Anyway.
EliteAri, I have 16 more notes.
Please,
You ready
go
for
ahead.
this?
Yep.
Luke and Leia's acting is not as bad as I've been led to believe. True, we already talked about that.
Mhm.
CGI inserts that stand out quite a bit. Very slapstick. We already talked about that.
Yep.
Retconning issues. We already talked about that. Violent in parts. This is a good point, EliteAri. Cutting the dude's hand off, the slaughter of the little guys. True. When Luke just rocks up and he's like, oh, I gotta go back to see something. He's going to see the little guys again. And they're all just dead. And I think he even calls it a slaughter. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, Luke. These little guys are all slaughtered. Why don't you care about them?
Mm-hmm.
That was sad. The burning alive of the aunt and uncle. Their bodies are just
that
dead.
was
They set them
that
on
is
fire
crazy.
And, like, laugh as
that
they
is
sit around them.
hilarious. Yeah. It's such a funny
Leia's
visual.
gonna get executed. I was like, oh, this is all like the most violent stuff I've ever seen.
Yep.
And then I was like, is Vader really gonna let him execute his daughter? What are we doing here? But I guess he didn't know that at that point. I don't think he knows about Leia until the very end or something.
I don't know if George
Anyway,
knew at that point, but yeah.
He definitely didn't, but you can kind of get around it because like maybe he would have saved her at the last moment. But anyway. But true, it's very violent. Also, the kind of funny guys brought up in their podcast that apparently when a lightsaber is not supposed to do blood, it's supposed to cauterize it or something. I didn't know that, but this guy's limb got cut off and it was cool. Also, I'm pretty sure that Yeti thing's arm gets cut off and there's blood too.
Yeah, I think that thing dies as well. Oh my god.
Prequel nonsense. In the Family Guy spoof, that was Cookie Monster. Isn't that funny, EliteAri?
Yep.
Remember that Yeti thing from Monsters Inc? Oh my god, I nearly watched Monsters Inc today instead of the Star Wars thingies, EliteAri. I can't wait to watch Monsters Inc tomorrow. It's gonna be great. Han Solo doesn't even shoot anyone in this version. Oh no, this is me making notes as I'm going. I'm like, did they just cut that whole scene? Because they're all going to leave the bar, but then he gets him later.
Oh my god.
Oh, I thought that... And then I thought this was his introduction scene. I thought the first scene we saw of him was this Greedo scene or whatever. Also, the languages are cool, EliteAri, even though they're fake and stupid.
I agree.
They have like 3 sounds. It's cool. Harrison Ford doesn't look too young in this Lamau. We already talked about all this. Funny transition screen wipes from PowerPoints, EliteAri. We're never getting past this point because I'm pretty sure they're going to be the next 3 too. Isn't it funny?
Yep. I think they'll be in the next like 9 or whatever, next 6, 7, 8.
No. The Great Last Jedi is a good movie. It's not going to have these in it. Now, are these like just old things that are in all old movies, like from that period, from like the 70s? No. Or is it just from Star Wars and that's why PowerPoint does it?
As far as my understanding is that like this was inspired by, what do they say? Some Rogers,
oh, it's the Zach something.
Something.
It's
like something. I don't know what it is, but it's inspired by some TV show or something. He wanted to make that
movie, but they wouldn't give him the rights, so he had to do Star Wars, EliteAri. I know this story.
Yep. Maybe.
It starts with a Z, EliteAri, I know it.
No, I don't think so.
Star Wars inspiration. It's gonna come up with fucking Goku, I know it. That was a funny joke, EliteAri. Why didn't you laugh? Because it's Journey to the West.
Yeah, very
You
funny.
fucking loser. The Vietnam War, we'll get to that. The Hidden Fortress, The Empire, classic. Get to the fucking... Not Forbidden Planet, that's George R. R. Martin's favorite movie. Now...
I got no idea.
Oh, I'm not gonna find this. Flash Gordon, EliteAri, that's the one.
Oh yeah, I think that was what I was thinking, actually. I don't know why I was thinking of something else.
What, you think I didn't know what you were thinking? You think an idiot?
Yeah, maybe. But did that have it? Did that have the wipes? I feel like I've heard this somewhere where they have like those weird wipes and transitions and stuff. I don't know. Who knows? Please let a comment down below, all you Star Wars fans.
Wait, no, the more important question is, do you consider them the PowerPoint effects or the Star Wars effects? Because I saw them in PowerPoints first, and then I was like, why is Star Wars, like, were they in the editing software in 1977 and they just had the default PowerPoint transition? That's literally what I thought when I was like 12. I'm like, fucking Star Wars sucks.
Yeah,
they
I guess
stole it from PowerPoint.
I do also associate it with PowerPoint more than Star Wars, but yep. Kind of
God,
crazy.
remember the days, EliteAri. You're in grade 3 you're in grade 3 science, and your whole term leads up to you have to make a PowerPoint with an image on each slide and about 2 dot points, and then you got to put. But the fun part is you get to put in all the transitions. Pretty cool, hey?
So true. Yep.
Now you're 5 years older than me, so I don't think you did any of that. You fucking idiot.
I did.
So,
yeah.
What are you saying? They just kept the same.
PowerPoints have been around for a long time.
No, you were probably the first one to ever do one. Millennial Scourge. They say that in Star Wars. Now,
you scruffy looking
Han Solo, I read that one, EliteAri. Funny transitions. Oh, there's also like cuts that are too fast sometimes, where it's like, this is very much a signature Star Wars thing, but it's just like, it's signature because like another movie would have had that scene going for like a second and a half more and then cut. But Star Wars just does a fast cut. It's funny. Also, very signature thing. Now, I feel like I was watching... maybe I went out to get something to eat, and my dad was watching a prequel or something. My dad, big Star Wars fan, EliteAri. He definitely probably hates the prequels, but he's watching a prequel, and I remember I'm like standing there watching it for like 60 seconds or something, and it's just like a scene, and then the movie ended at the end. And I was like, oh my god, this is like a Star Wars thing, where it's just like, the endings are very abrupt all the time.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
It is pretty great.
That's like similar to this cut point. It is a very signature Star Wars thing. It's cute.
Well,
it's also like weird.
There's one lore thing I know, Kyle, which is that apparently the editing of the first movie, this is what I've heard on Rebel Force Radio, could be completely wrong. The first cut was terrible, and then George Lucas brought his wife in, and the wife did the editing and fixed it all up, and it was like way better. But
the kind of funny guys told me the same story.
Right,
believe it or not. So yeah, it must be true. But yeah, it's very funny. And even the third movie, which is probably the worst one for it, it's like, oh, it's just the Star Wars thing. You know, it's just over. Like, I feel like Return of the Jedi should have done the what the fuck is the third Lord of the Rings movie called? Return of the King, EliteAri. They should have done that meme where it's like, oh, the Return of the King has 7 endings, ha ha ha. But you know, I want some fucking resolution here. I want to see Han and Leia get married. Cut to that, they got a kid. I want to see Luke off meditating or something because Rey's gonna find him later. I want to see Chewbacca get his medal. Don't worry, that's coming later, EliteAri. And I want to see the droids chilling on a beach somewhere. Yep. But no, we just all doing a celebration the night of, and then we're cutting away. But also, that seems like it's kind of cool too. Who knows? People talking or not talking, but us still getting audio. See, I knew I remembered this. This is kind of what you talked about before. But instead, I'm saying that like their arms were still moving and we're still getting or something. Anyway.
Yep.
Stormtroopers sound funny. I already brought that part up. Even weird cut to credits. So just talking about that. Jabba and Han scene ? Han, not Hut.
Yep.
Was this in the original? How did they CGI Jabba? I already figured all this stuff out right afterwards. I paused the movie to Google it, so we don't got to talk about that. Leia is put in a conundrum. How do you say that again? Was this a joke, EliteAri? Am I joking with myself?
Yeah, because you couldn't say conundrum. Yeah.
No.
You probably meant to. You know what you meant to write? You meant to say, "How do you spell conundrum?" And you said "say" instead or something, right?
No.
All right.
But how is it like the dub Pokemon effect?
Because like the ADR or whatever, like when a character is talking but the lips aren't matching, or there's like clearly they weren't meant to have dialogue at this point.
No. That doesn't happen in the great Pokemon dub. The Pokemon dub's great. Well, anyway, I was like, oh my god, Leia's like holding out. She got tortured and she still won't give it up. You know, we need to find us a girl like Leia, or she's ride or die for real. But then she gives it up for Alderaan. And remember in Rogue One, we're going to see Alderaan get blown up. It's going to be cool.
Wait, do we? Am I crazy? Wait.
Yeah.
Wait, we saw it in this movie. What do you mean?
No, you're like on the planet and they have to run away. And Jyn Erso's
you know, we'll talk about it when we get to it.
The rebellion.
All right.
Oh, so it's a different planet? I want to see
think
Alderaan.
so.
God
Maybe
damn
I'm
it.
wrong. I haven't seen that movie since
Wait,
it
it
came
can't
out.
be Alderaan. That happens before this, EliteAri. What am I thinking here?
Mm-hmm.
So, did they just test the Death Star out on something before this?
You know what? I
Retcon,
guess we'll
terrible.
see.
What a shitty movie.
Yep.
Anyway, I remember a planet blowing up and they had to get off of it real quick, but then they just died in the end anyway. Boring, shitty movie. How do you... There has to be a point in this puzzle here, EliteAri. Pokemon dub conundrum. Anyway, Leia was pretty cool. I think that was the point. How do you say, oh, EliteAri, you idiot? It's a joke about how a bunch of characters don't say Leia, they say Leah, and in the Pokemon dubs, they fuck up names sometimes like that.
Wait, you know what's crazy? They also do that in real life sometimes. People have different pronunciations of names, and no one corrects them, and it just ends up that way.
This is a created world. They didn't mean to fuck it up, EliteAri. They just
didn't
have
know.
the name straight, you idiot.
I
think
they
say
that
Han and Han sometimes. How about you get it
Hoth
straight?
and Hoth, and yeah, there's like a bunch of them. I think it's like a great creative choice.
Star Wars sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Obi-Wan doesn't die at the end? Question mark, exclamation mark. We talked about that. Green at the end is cool. We talked about that.
You know what's a bit goofy?
Luke has
but I could see it either way. I could kind of see if you really wanted to read it as serious, I could imagine it, but it's when Obi-Wan disappears and then Vader like steps on him. He's like, what is this? What just happened? It's a little goofy. And I'm like, yeah.
That's funny. There's no way they're going to keep that up. I'm certain we're going to find, like, there has to be Count Dooku's going to be dead on the ground or something, EliteAri. He's not disappearing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, Vader didn't disappear.
Well, maybe
they just burnt his, like, thing.
True. Now, you only saw the mask getting
yeah.
burnt. That was the thing. I was like, oh, did they fuck this up? But maybe it was they didn't fuck it up.
They left him behind.
But true. Just the great Yoda, he disappeared.
True. Died of old age.
And in the Family Guy thing, after he disappeared, Chris, who's playing Luke, steals his wallet from his thing and calls up and orders something on his credit card. It was pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
You're lucky I'm not talking about that a lot more, EliteAri, because
good.
guess what? I watched all those more recently, and, it could have pissed you off. Luke has a friend, right? Oh, this is because Luke's friend hadn't turned up, and I'm like, isn't there like an added scene or something in this? But no, that was a cut scene or something, and his name is Biggs, EliteAri, and I can't remember if he dies or not.
He dies, and Luke doesn't care. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't even have a reaction.
I hate male friends. We don't need him.
He like looks at him and like he doesn't even.
I
don't even think he has a sad expression. He just like looks and then he just keeps going, and I'm like, oh my god.
There are a bunch of them that die, and I'm pretty sure also in the third one, I think. So I was like, oh. There goes the fat guy or something. He died. That was crazy. Now, EliteAri, the most important part. Berserk. We got to talk about Berserk here. Because let me tell you something, brother. Some of these fucking monsters in this bar look a lot like Berserk monsters. That Kentaro Miura is a hack fraud little pussy.
I got no idea, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was inspired by Star Wars, maybe.
Well, the Falcon of the Millennium Arc didn't come out of his ass for no reason, EliteAri. He loves this Star Wars shit. Remember in the second last
Yoda's in
it was a whole Star Wars joke.
Oh my god, you're right.
Yeah, Puck becomes Yoda a bunch, and then there's more, and then he gets a TIE fighter or something. Which one's which? I don't know. X-Wing, I think he gets at some point. He's just floating around.
Yeah, you know what?
He's
I just thought of another goofy thing, which is that Darth Vader's in the little TIE fighter thing. I know it's a bit goofy to me. I don't know why.
True. Kind of funny.
It doesn't fit the vibe of Vader. Yeah.
It is funny that they're all like pilots also. It's like, okay, I guess that makes sense. But it wasn't so. There's not like a particular design that looks like a Berserk monster, but it's just like the type of design is like exactly what like the background apostles always look like, where it's like, they got a split head here and it looks weird. And it kind of fits more in Berserk because in this it's like, how does this guy function? This idiot with his split head here. Whereas in Berserk, it's like, it's just his monster form, and he'll go back into being a normal form later when he's raping or something. EliteAri, you know how this Berserk is. But anyway, that idiot loved Berserk. I mean, Star Wars, and I was like, And whenever I can read Berserk in anything EliteAri, I will. It's on the brain constantly. When Jabba had Leia in there, he raped her for sure. If this was Berserk EliteAri, and that's exactly what I thought about. Now, they also made a joke about that in the Family Guy thing, where as soon as they show up, Lois, who's playing Princess Leia, it says like 3 times, he didn't rape me, he didn't rape me, he didn't rape me, because they're thinking about it too. Seth MacFarlane hasn't seen Berserk EliteAri, it's not just me. R2 scream EliteAri, he screams a bunch, that was crazy, took me off guard.
Or something, yeah.
He has like what's making that noise? Is there a little person in there?
On the set there is.
That's a funny joke, EliteAri. Of course, I knew that.
Okay.
Actually, I didn't know that until the Family Guy thing did a joke about it, because when they crash land on Dagobah, the Luke asks the fucking robot, whichever one we're talking about, he says, "How you doing, R2?" And he says, I'm fine, but the midget in front of me is having a conniption fit or something, and then the midget pops out and vomits and goes back in. Hilarious. But that's the only
Okay.
reason I know, and then I'm like, oh, that probably does make sense. Because I was thinking, EliteAri, before I knew this, I was like, how are they getting this fucking robot to move? Is he just like a little, what do you call those cars, EliteAri, you get when you're
A
far?
remote control car.
A remote control car, that's what they must have done. They didn't have those in the 70s, surely. And then I'm like, how did they do this? So you're telling me there's a little man in there whose legs are running and that's how it moves.
No, I don't. I think it's more like there's like a mechanical control inside. But also, I don't think it's. I have no idea. I've never really looked into this. But I know there is a Kenny Baker, I think was his name. He like died a few years ago. But he was inside it, just like how C-3PO is controlled by someone. Isn't that crazy, Carl? Can you believe that? But yeah, I think it's like a mix, probably. I got no idea. I'm speaking with no authority here. So. Yeah.
Now, the next one, EliteAri, I don't entirely understand. Don't trust computers, Ari. Trust the Force. Oh, true. EliteAri, your favorite piece of media, Star Wars here, has an antithetical message that you wouldn't like, where you got to trust religion more than the computers, and that's why Luke has to trust the Force to shoot the thing at the end and not his simulation.
Yeah, this is a note I had specifically on The Empire Strikes Back because it was like brought up a bunch about the Force and everything. The Force is such a simple and like lame and like spiritual message or like a whole like concept where it's like surprising that so many people find it. I guess it's not really surprising because a lot of people like spiritual or religious, but I guess I don't really like the concept behind the Force. I don't find it that interesting. Like the thing I like about the Force is when they move stuff or they like see the future and stuff. That's all I care about.
It's even like Hereditary, EliteAri. That doesn't seem very cool until it's not, because a little girl's going to do it in Return of the Jedi and ruin Star Wars.
Wait, what? In Return of the Jedi? What do you mean?
No, in The Last Jedi, obviously. What do you
Oh, okay, yes. Okay. But yeah, the Force itself, I don't know. It's a bit goofy. It kind of, yeah. I guess it makes sense that it took off if it's like people are religious.
The Force is all around you or something, said that old man when he was acting bad.
It binds us.
Not me.
Okay, any other notes for this first movie?
2 more, EliteAri. Chewbacca didn't get a medal, which is very funny because I know this is like an internet thing and then they put it in the 7th movie.
You know what? I didn't even notice, but I know that's a thing.
I didn't even think for a second he deserved a medal. What the fuck did this big hairy idiot do? Now, anyway. Yep. Was there meant to be a sequel? Vader did get away. Oh, I was thinking at the end, I'm like, did they even want to have a sequel at the end of this movie? But Vader didn't die. He was very clearly in a ship and didn't get blown up, so they were kind of sequel baiting a little bit.
Yep.
But other than that, everything else wrapped up. They beat the Empire.
Yep. They got their medals. There was a kiss.
No.
At some point in this movie, there was a kiss. Wasn't there? Was there not? Am I crazy?
There's kisses in the next one.
I know there's a kiss in there's a few kisses in the next one.
She kisses Luke in the next one, and then she kisses the other one at the end, or in the middle.
There's no kiss, not even on the cheek or anything.
Oh, probably.
I feel like there's a kiss.
First of all, she also kisses him on the mouth like another time, but it's like as he like waking up from his delirium, maybe at the end of the second one, and I'm like, you got a boyfriend, girl? What you doing? But old people sometimes they just kiss on the mouth, to be weird or something.
So true.
EliteAri refuses to engage in the most interesting of hypotheticals. The Empire Strikes Back, EliteAri, tell us all about it.
So this is a great movie. This is probably the best. I mean, undeniably the best of these 3 movies. It is probably one of the best Star Wars movies. I think it's well directed. I like all the different environments and sets. Like the Hoth stuff was amazing on the snow. The Dagobah stuff is probably the best set I've ever seen. Maybe like it is crazy how they did that.
No, that's not so boring.
I think it looks really cool. All this stuff in Cloud City looks amazing. I think just visually it's amazing. Story-wise, it's great. I love the romance stuff in this. What else is there? We get cool Force stuff. Luke is finally a Jedi with like actual like Force powers and stuff, and he uses a lightsaber. And Yoda's in this. We love Yoda, even though he was lifeless. And basically this is great. I love this movie. Fantastic.
Now that Sky City was pretty cool.
It definitely looks cool. It's like got orange clouds or whatever, and it's like, oh, this is so cool, and oh my god.
No, it's like white on the inside, so I like it.
That is also true. And we do meet Lando in this, I guess. What do you think about Lando?
Lando Calrissian, what a smooth talking guy. He just kisses Princess Leia on the hand, EliteAri. Could you believe it?
So true.
He is pretty cool. He's going to be an old guy in a trailer for the 8th one, I think.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Anyway,
a bit fat.
Vader is so shiny in
Donald
this.
Glover is going to play him in Solo.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. I said Vader is so shiny. That's the first thing I noticed. But apparently there's some lore about this where the what is it, Irvin Kershner, whoever directed this, apparently or maybe it was the Richard guy in the next movie. There's some lore which I don't know is true. So you guys in the comments, this is your chance to shine. That he was like a he would do advertisements for cars or something. So he was good at polishing stuff, or he knew how to light stuff for like,
Now that's epic.
yeah, he knew how to light like shiny surfaces like Vader's helmet. But I don't even know if that's true. I've just heard that a million times.
I will say it is interesting that like I think I clicked on both of the other directors' letterbox and even George Lucas's letterbox. Like they have like 2 other movies and that's it.
Mhm.
It's like kind of crazy. Like you'd think these guys would
Sure.
be directing everything after it.
Yep.
But I guess like sometimes you forget that like the director can just be like hired to do the job. It's not like the director's movie. Like sometimes it is like Quentin Tarantino writes and directs everything or whatever. But usually it's not that. It's just like obviously for this fucking Venom movie, this guy's like, oh, I'll fucking do it and I'll get paid for it or whatever. And I'm assuming these because obviously George has all like the thinking or the writing stuff down already. It's just like, oh, well, you point the camera and figure out how it's gonna work while I go in the trailer with the AC or something. I don't know.
Mhm.
That's funny. Who cares? My first note, EliteAri, I have significantly less notes for this one. The least actually, because it's the worst one, obviously.
Mhm.
Are those rideable thingies stop motion? This is where I figured out stop motion was in it, EliteAri. Aren't I clever?
Yep. Amazing.
I'm just going to do another one, EliteAri. That
Go
one
ahead.
was boring. Han really cares about his son. True, Han Solo, you know, he doesn't care about anyone in this first movie. And in the second movie, he's just out there looking for his great son, Luke, EliteAri. He just goes out immediately, says, where's my boy? He's out there, he's dying to go and save him. It's crazy.
Yeah, you know what? I will say, Han in the first movie, not that likable. He's fine. Second movie, fantastic. Straight, like right from the beginning.
No,
he's saving Luke. He's loving Leia. He's funny. He's got like one-liners about like the scruffy, who's scruffy looking or whatever. Like, or like I'll see you in hell and stuff like that. And I like Han in the second one. He definitely gets elevated in this one.
And he says, I know at the end, EliteAri.
True. Oh my god, my heart.
But he cared about his son.
So true. But you do know Luke isn't his son,
killed
right?
him.
Okay, yeah, very funny. Okay.
Oh, who's his father, EliteAri? You want to make that joke, you fucking idiot?
Luke's father.
Yeah.
It's like, you'll see, I guess. I'm not going to say anything. Let's keep watching, I guess. All right. Do you want one of my notes now?
Yes, EliteAri. Jesus Christ.
Okay. Oh, wait, we've already done both of these. Okay, what's another one here?
EliteAri, one from the first one, I forgot. They brought up the Clone Wars, and I was shocked. I'm for sure this gets retconned in 17 years down the line, but they mentioned it the very first one. Isn't that crazy?
Yep, it is pretty crazy.
It's still not cool, and I'm not watching that show.
So true. You know what? I think I've talked about every note in this except for one, which I said, God, Palpatine is so great. That's all I said.
True. It's like that thing in Guardians of the Galaxy. Remember when I saw Guardians of the Galaxy before I saw any of these shitty Star Wars movies? And all anybody wanted to talk about after that movie came out was the soundtrack and that they did the Thanos thing just like the Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
So, pretty cool, huh?
Yep. That's
who was
all my
Thanos
notes for this movie.
Ronan the whatever guy? Is that his name?
Ronan the Destroyer or something? I have no idea what his name was. But yeah, Ronan,
Do you think he was calling him? It had to be like a little guy next to him too, huh?
I don't know.
God, I remember how Thanos was like a boring bad guy, and then he was the greatest character of all time, and he had a daughter. He had 2 of them, but he like neglected one, but he really liked that one. And then Red Skull made him kill that one, and then he had the Griffith scene at the bottom of the lake. Greatest movie of all time, and then they just killed the cool Thanos and had some boring time travel Thanos be the bad guy in the next one. That movie sucks. Miller the Killer was right. Now, is it my turn?
Yep, I got no other notes for this.
Oh, you're an idiot. Of course you don't. Han really... Oh, I read that one, EliteAri. So why does Vader want to stop the rebels? True, EliteAri. I was trying to figure out, like... Because I know the story, right? But how are we supposed to think about it in this moment? It's just like, well, Vader's like a bad guy. And so he wants to stop the rebels because... They're the bad guys.
No,
the good guys,
he senses that Luke is down there and he wants to get Luke. That's what it is. I think they even say that at some point.
But he's willing to kill a lot of people to get Luke. Why doesn't he just fly down there and say... Because they can't kill him even if he walked in the front door, let's be honest.
They could kill him. And it's... I don't know.
No,
I think he does it out of...
Stop the bullets. And...
No.
Yoda, that little weak piss ant, can move a fighter thing. He can just make the whole base.
Yeah, but that took so long. It was so much effort to move that fighter thing.
Yeah, he had it. It was shitting it there. He was like, That was a pretty good noise, huh? Now, so Vader, why is it? Well, I guess I'm going to find out in the prequels. He becomes a bad guy because I think his wife dies, but maybe she doesn't, or she's dying in childbirth. So he gets mad and he kills those kids, EliteAri. I know that part. And then, but also, and so that means why is the Emperor bad? Now, I think he's got some spirit, Plagueis the Wise or something. That's why he's bad, because he's like evil. And Plagueis has an older one. I saw that in like a lore video one time, and it seemed cool because you know how you have like the bad guy, and then you have the bad guy mentions he had an old mentor, but then in the lore you have an even older bad guy, and he's like the ancient guy. And when the world was created, there was like a god, and there was two, and it's like imagine like this was Naruto, and you got to meet all those guys. It would be epic, and they all had powers and stuff. Naruto's cool. Now back to shitty Star Wars. Vader is a bad guy. Why? We're doing speculation here, Leader. I'm figuring out the prequels. So he's just this little kid. And, I'm pretty sure he's an immaculate conception, Leader. Either he's got no mother or something. And then he's a little kid. He blows up a little thingy. And then Obi-Wan's like, come be my little pal. But then Obi-Wan won't let him have a hot girlfriend. So he's mad about that. But then he gets his hot girlfriend. And maybe the Emperor says, you should be allowed to have a hot girlfriend. Sand. And then, I don't know, EliteAri. I don't know any of this idiot's motivation.
I guess we'll have to see.
He was the chosen one.
Yeah, that is funny. Not brought up a single time in these movies, but it will be a thing.
Why you shit on the prequels? It's my job.
So true. They're perfect movies. Anything else for this
also,
movie?
Also, Obi-Wan and Vader should have had like a cooler like back and forth. They're just like, they don't even like,
only a master of evil, Darth. He says something like that. It's like, oh, wow.
He called him Darth.
Yep, because the law hadn't been established yet, okay? But it's okay. We'll get there eventually. True.
But true. Whatever. Vader's a thingy. Then my next note is Vader's a little scary, true. But more so on the first one. Let's not agree with EliteAri here. I didn't remember this asteroid stuff. We already brought that up. No, there is another. Luke did the right thing right. All right. These are actually two things we can talk about.
Yeah.
So EliteAri, when I watched the movie for the first time, I must have missed the no, there is another line, because I remember watching a Watch Mojo thing, and like it was like the top 10 cliffhangers or something, and like it was probably the Vader thing, obviously, at the end of this movie. But I think they would have done a mention of like, oh, there was this other one in the thingy when they say no, there is another, and I completely didn't remember it now, and I thought they were like referencing a prequel, and then I think at some point I watched the normies watch this movie, and this moment was in it, and I was like, what does that mean? So it's pretty cool and ominous, EliteAri. But then when you figure out it's just Leia and she's not going to do anything, it's like whatever.
Yeah, I agree. It is.
Except in that terrible movie where she's going to fly in space or something.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see.
This is going to be the greatest fucking
But yeah,
movie
you know
of all
what? This
time.
line, in retrospect, now that you know that nothing happens, it is very lame that Leia just, she's the other one.
But the delivery is so cool, and he turns red for some reason. Oh, because the thingy lights up, I'm assuming. Oh, it's cool. Yeah, he turns red. It's the coolest part, because the light of the thingy as Luke's taken off is cool.
Yep.
And then the kind of funny guys told me that like, oh, in one of these like extended universe comics or something, there's like a whole thing about how Yoda wanted to train Leia and Obi-Wan had to convince him to train Luke or something, and that seemed kind of cool. But only because it gives this some meaning when it doesn't. But also, that doesn't really that sounds like it doesn't make much continuity sense. One time I watched one YouTube video about the post-trilogy books, EliteAri, and they like Han and Leia had like twins or something and something. Doesn't that all sound cool, EliteAri? Let's read the books.
So true. You know what? I'd be open to reading some of them. So you never read a
single one of them?
Never read an EU thing except for the Revenge of the Sith novelization, and I read part of Shadowpoint, I think it's called, which is some Mace Windu thing. I didn't finish it.
I'm not reading any prequel shit. I only care about this trilogy. Until next time, maybe I'll love the prequels, EliteAri.
Perhaps. I doubt it, but you never know.
What do you think? What am I going to think, EliteAri?
We'll get to that at the end of this discussion. We still got a lot to get through.
You better remember, because that's the most interesting part. Luke did the right thing, right? They were all going to die if Luke didn't go. What's this fucking green idiot talking about?
So it is interesting, where in a typical kind of movie, which is old like this, you would expect that the wise mentor is going to be correct, right? And he's telling you the wise stuff, which is like, you got to be ready. You can't just go and spring into action when you're not ready, because everything will fall apart and it'll all go bad. But this movie just goes with the message of like, if you go help your friends, things might go bad, but your friends will be there for you and they'll save you in the end. And I don't know, it's like just somewhat subversive.
I don't exactly know what's going to happen. Maybe it'll be a good thing to get him out of this conundrum.
Yeah, I think the cool thing, and this is kind of generic, that's what you're going to say, but I think it's kind of cool, which is that when Yoda and Obi-Wan realize he's going to go, they're trying to give him advice a little bit. They're like, oh, come on, if you have to go, then like, come on, like, remember your lessons.
No, that wasn't generic at all. Nothing about this moment was generic. I don't know what EliteAri he's talking about. I don't know why he would character assassinate me in such a way.
Yeah.
That moment does bring up another thing where it's like, are we trying to say that like the old men are like stupid and we can't?
Yeah.
Because is the point at the end supposed to be that Luke is like both the light and the dark side? I guess maybe we want to talk about this later. And like this force, like.
So this has a lot to do with
the
The Last Jedi. Thing. I think we'll talk about this when we get to The Last Jedi.
Oh, I love The Last Jedi. It's my favorite movie.
But I can't say anything at this point.
Because they're going to be morally grey and stuff, even though this is, I'm pretty sure I'm wrong here, and we're just supposed to think that the good side is the good side, and it's like... But don't they say at some point, even in these movies, that everybody has light and dark in them or something, or is that something I'm picking up from something else?
I don't know. Maybe they did. I know Yoda said that, like, dark is
There's
not more powerful or whatever.
Check in.
I don't care about the themes of Star Wars. What are we talking about?
No, themes are great, EliteAri. I want to find out. It's because Luke's wearing black at the end. That can't be a good guy, but he's also a good guy. So, you know, it's black and white.
But he's also killing people. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Is that good?
But
he's also saving people.
They aggressed on him first. It was self-defense.
True.
And sometimes you're allowed to kill not in self-defense when it's like in a
What about all of Jabba's slaves that were not voluntarily, I don't know. Maybe they weren't slaves. Maybe they're all free people. True. Yeah, it is what it is. Next up, Kyle, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Also say a joke. Wait, no, say a joke. Now I want to hear it. Go on, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you know, maybe they should have stood up and made a stand.
True.
If they didn't want to die. The joke was supposed to be that I was being morally repugnant and victim blaming. But, you know, you just wanted me to move on.
Yep. Go ahead.
So you got no conclusion about this. The old men are supposed to be the bad guy thing.
I think in the context of these movies, to me, it just seems like they're not bad, but they're proven wrong. Like their philosophy of like you need to do things the slow and like methodical way or whatever is just wrong. Yeah, I think it is a thing of like you need to trust in your friends and your friends will help you out because obviously at the end of the movie, Leia comes and saves him. That's the way I saw it at least. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I more take it as though it's like Luke knows better than these people because they're kind of in their old ways or something. I don't know. I don't have any strong wills on this.
I don't know. This could be an interesting thing because I'm assuming that The Last Jedi like tries to do a moral ambiguity thing and say and like redefine the Force in ways, and I'm assuming that's one of the things that people get very mad about. A lot of assuming going on. But then like I feel like if you were to counter argument that like this stuff like kind of being up in the air would be like a massive point in your favor. But these anti-Last Jedi people can't be smart anyway, EliteAri, so they don't care.
I will say, when I first watched The Last Jedi, I was like, I don't know about that movie. I guess we'll talk about it when we get to it.
He said, you can't kill Luke Skywalker. I think he died.
So true, Luke Skywalker, my favorite character in Star Wars. Who is your favorite character? You've got, we've seen a few characters now. Who's your favorite at the moment?
Yes, Han Solo's kind of funny sometimes. Why don't I like Princess Leia more, EliteAri?
I don't know, actually. I figured you would.
Seems like a Kyle Entertainment character. She might be number 2, but shouldn't she be number 1?
True. You know what? It is
Luke
weird
Skywalker,
to think about.
And he's pretty cool, bro. He's
Luke,
pretty cool,
you know
I'm saying.
I do like Luke. He is okay. But obviously it's...
That first one, I'm going to beat him up. The third one, what a guy.
Very true. He's wearing black and stuff. And he has a green lightsaber.
R2-D2, now that's a character. We like him.
Yeah. No.
C-3PO is a little annoying. Chewbacca's like just a little dog guy, so he's kind of funny. I like the main Ewok. He's really cute, EliteAri. I like the Ewok. Darth Vader? I don't know. He's okay.
Yep.
I like him when he's scary. That Emperor dude, not very fun.
So cool. You know, love him. He has the funnest stuff. His delivery and stuff. It's so great. We'll get to that, I guess.
I don't like how he looks. I think it looks too much. Too over the top, EliteAri.
So true.
I do find it interesting that I certainly, when I watch these movies, just thought he was an old guy, which seems retarded. But then it's even funnier because, like, in the modern movies, he's actually an old guy now, whereas all the other guys that are old in the old movies are all dead, like Tarkin or whatever. So, you know, that's funny. Yep. And he didn't die at the end. That's crazy. But, you know, or maybe he did and he got, I saw a trailer or something where probably he died, but he got...
Yeah, it was in Fortnite or something, yeah.
No, nobody's in Fortnite. Thanos is in Fortnite.
He gave his announcement before the movie came out in Fortnite about like something. He said something. I don't want to say what, I guess. We'll get to that movie eventually. But it was first announced in Fortnite. It was great. Anyway.
Sing that funny Fortnite song.
#1 victory royale. Yeah,
that's the one. That's the one.
Yep.
I thought
Alright.
EliteAri was gonna say, I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway.
Mm.
What was I talking about? We were talking about favorite characters, the Force. EliteAri doesn't care about themes, apparently. What a coward. I can't wait to just love The Last Jedi, Elite.
Mm-hmm.
Now, no, there is another. I already read that one. Vader doesn't just kill everybody in the sky. True. Why didn't he just kill everybody, EliteAri? It was pissing me off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have, are the Boba Fett lines new? I think he has like 2.
That is interesting because I don't know. Maybe it did kind of sound like the prequel guy. But
Isn't
maybe
he
not.
just not cool at all? And why do we like him? And this is like,
I mean, I think he looks really
dead
cool.
talking point at this point.
Yeah.
Kinda. He's like green though. Green isn't cool.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of cool. We never get to
But
see
he
what he
did
actually
follow
looks
him.
like.
Do we?
No, we don't. Is what I'm saying. It's like kind of cool. He just
Oh.
looks the same the whole time, and it's like, oh, cool. It's like this. Is he a robot? Like, what is he? I think it's cool.
Yeah.
And I think his death's funny. That was a good gag.
It wasn't cool at all, but Jango Fett is going to show up and we're supposed to care.
True.
But I think that's cool, right?
I guess we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yep.
I can't say anything. I'm an idiot. That's my last note on the shitty Empire one, EliteAri. Can we talk about the Ewoks?
All right. So next up, we have Return of the Jedi.
It's probably the
directed
best
by
one, EliteAri. You're
Richard.
supposed to challenge me so I can clarify my opinion.
So of these 3 movies, which is the best directed?
It's directed. Nobody cares about directed.
All right.
Now,
well, there are 3 visions in
second
this.
one-
Well, I guess they're all George Lucas, but there are 3 directors at least. Kind of
I
interesting.
don't know, they look the same.
True.
It's because I feel like the third one was a little boring in parts. And at some point you go into the Ewok Island and there's an hour and a half left, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, we're gonna spend the whole movie here. And I'm like, oh, that's fine. But
yeah, then you get the scene at the end where Vader's dying, and you look at the timestamp. There's 5 minutes left, and it's like, wait, what? He dies, and 5 minutes later the movie's over. This is crazy. But yeah, there's
epic.
Yep.
I don't know what's wrong with this third movie. Why don't I like it the best?
Well, the first 40 minutes is at Jabba's palace. Do you like Jabba's palace?
Yeah, you don't like this. I already watched your video
Yep.
where you shit on it, Elite.
But you know what? It was fine. It was fine in the second watch through. Better than anything in the first movie. That's
now, EliteAri, the mythos of this scene is that Luke shows up and he fucks everybody up and he's sort of like 17 steps ahead. This fucking idiot Luke gets trapped in the trapdoor thing, runs around with a scared face on like he's about to die. What a little pussy.
And then Boba Fett does a thing around him, wraps him up, and is like trapped and stuff.
True.
Yep.
Why doesn't he have his lightsaber on him, EliteAri?
Cause I don't know. Who knows?
Because
it was cool. It was gonna be cool. The plan was to get like trapped or something, and then shoot out and do a plank flip or something.
Yeah, because he could have just killed him at any point. But then why did he fuck around with this dumb thing in the
basement? He wanted to isolate them.
True. Now he's first. It's also funny. Leia breaks in, which is fine. And then like cool. Han just like 2 button boops and he's out. And I was like, okay. Now they do make him blind for a little bit, so it's like something. But it's like, oh, I guess. Like, if you were cliffhanged and you're like, oh, is Han Solo dead or something at the end of the last one? And then you come back and he's just, like, back right away, I guess.
Yeah, but then they paid off with a gag. They pull the curtain and Jabba's just there the whole time watching them. That's hilarious.
Oh, I was about to bring up the fucking curtain. Why were they behind the curtain?
Because it was just entertainment.
Why were they waiting?
I don't know. It was great. It was fantastic. That was a good gag.
It was a little funny.
Yeah.
But that's fine. Jabba's palace. Jabba the Hutt. What a fella.
Yep. He's big.
It is weird that it is set up through all 3 movies. We're constantly reminded that Jabba the Hutt's going to be a thing. And there we go on the third one. Also, people like shit on the third. Like sometimes there's like these contrary opinions, which I think the main one is like, oh, the first one's actually the best one, and New Hope is where it's at. And then the other one is like shitting on Return of the Jedi for being bad. I think Red Letter Media does this a lot. And like the talking point, the one that stuck in my head the most, and the one that I thought was true was like, Han Solo and Princess Leia don't do anything for the last hour of the movie. They're literally just standing outside this gate and they like try 3 different methods to get it open and they don't, and something. That's not true at all, Leary. They're doing something the whole movie. What a great movie.
I don't remember that at all. The only criticism I know that everyone always says is, oh my god, there's bears, teddy bears. It's for kids. Kids movie. Oh my god.
Ewoks. We love them, EliteAri. They're the best. They're so funny. They're so cute. They beating them up with sticks, and it's also a theme thing, EliteAri, because this evil, technologically advanced empire gets fucked up by the little teddy bears with their sticks because they underestimated the great Ewok.
It is a thing that the movie, like, maybe it just is an old movie thing, or maybe it's like a George Lucas thing, but whenever they hit the stormtroopers on the helmets and it like knocks them out or whatever, it's always weird. Like, I don't like it. Like, surely you could have made that look a bit more believable somehow.
No, no, no. They got big fists or something.
Yeah,
Their
true.
helmets are big and they ricochet. They're
You
not
know what
very good
is
helmets.
cool? When they get the two logs and crush the ATSD thing. That was kind of cool.
That was cool. And then they were flying and they dropped some other things on them.
Yep.
And other things.
Yeah, on
Now,
they're
the
dropping
real
these
thing,
tiny little rocks on them, and they're freaking out. They're like, "I'm gonna die!" And the stormtroopers, for some reason, are running away from these little rocks they're dropping on them. I don't know. It's a bit.
the way
Yeah.
cooler thing is that like I'm waiting to see if an Ewok is gonna die. And then they're like they build it up for a long time, like the Ewoks are slightly getting out of here, and then there's the one shot of the one explosion where two Ewoks get exploded on, and one of them is fucking dead.
Yep.
And I cried, Alita. It was this little
Yeah.
Ewok. He didn't deserve it. And then I was like, fuck this Empire. And then don't worry, we got him back, Alita. The great Ewoks won in the end. Also, they were gonna eat Han Solo and cook him. And where did Leia get that dress from? And who braided her hair?
The Ewoks.
Both. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, also, since we're jumping around in this movie, the worst scene in this movie is also the best scene in this movie, because there's the scene where Leia gets told that Luke is her brother or whatever. This scene's terrible. The acting from both of them is terrible. And then Han shows up, and it's like a great scene. And what am I supposed to think? Is this the best or the worst scene in the movie, EliteAri?
Mm-hmm. I think it's
good. So he didn't agree.
I don't have a no. My best scene is when Vader's like, "It's too late for me, my son," or something. I'm like, oh wow, that's so cool.
Oh yeah, whatever. That was pretty cool too.
And the second best scene is obviously
so
at the end of the movie where Han Solo is like, "Oh, you love Luke, don't you? That's okay. I'll get out of your way." And I'm like, oh my god, he's like deep down, he's actually doesn't have self confidence,
like
and oh my god, yeah.
And it's like, it's also like, I don't know, I sort of took it as a funny meta thing of like, oh, we get around this love triangle by making them siblings, even though we accidentally already had them kiss. And it's like, oh, it's great. But also it is like cool because it's like, I assume this is another bigger assumption maybe than I've even made it before. But I assume probably at the beginning, Luke and Leia are supposed to end up together, right? That's probably, and like Han Solo is going to die valiantly and be like, because that's usually how these movies work. And the cool one dies and then the other two get set up together. And sort of like we found a way to get around the love triangle. We don't have to actually resolve this with somebody getting their heart broken. We can have the cool guy dies. Okay. But this one was like a cool twist on that where it's like, oh, they're siblings, brother. We got around this, and it's like even cooler because it's the outcome that's not supposed to happen, which then like kind of makes it the outcome that's gonna happen because a million things are gonna copy Star Wars now. I don't know, it's cool. But EliteAri, I wanted to talk about that scene I was talking about more.
Go ahead.
But why did I want to talk about it? So Leia and something. Oh, I want to talk about Carrie Fisher in this, EliteAri. She looks like a completely different person. Isn't that funny?
To what? What's the comparison?
She shows up and she's like now this happens at the beginning of Empire too. These white people, they all look the same. Because Luke takes the thing off. And I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, is that Luke? Who is this character? And then Han shows up and they're both in those big snowy outfits. And I'm like, which one's which? I remember being very confused about this and being like, what's going on here? This isn't Luke.
Have you heard
he looks
the lore?
too different. Like, well, I'm about to make a joke that I think might be the lore thing.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, hold on. Let me build up to it then. But then, and then there's the same thing here where Leia takes off the thing when she's broken into the thing, and I'm like, because I think Han might say Leia or something. But if he didn't, I'd be like, oh, is this a new character? Like, who is this girl? Cocaine's the joke, EliteAri. They got older because they were all doing cocaine. Is that the joke?
That is not. No, that's not the lore, the real life lore. Oh. I think it's just Mark Hamill got in like a really bad car accident or something, and he had like a lot of injuries or something, and I think he looked still injured during the movie. That's what I've heard. I think that's for the Empire Strikes Back. I think, which is I think why they do that. At least this is what I've heard, that they made the scene with the Wampa or whatever that attacked him because of that car crash. But what do I know? You know, I only hear this secondhand. But yep.
That's funny, but no, it's obviously cocaine and it ages you, EliteAri, because, that's the thing people say about Carrie Fisher. She ruined her career or something because she was cocaine and she was being a whore or something.
Maybe. I don't know.
But isn't she hot in this movie, EliteAri, when she's in the bikini or something? This isn't a kid's movie. What's going on here?
Yep.
It is a little weird, huh?
No, it's just like an old movie where they're like sexualizing the woman character. Is it that weird for an old movie?
Different. Like, I've seen 80s movies where it is literally just like, oh, we're on a beach now and there's like babes walking past. Those babes don't have any character or anything. It is, I don't know. It's like interestingly weird. I kind of like it. I really like it, EliteAri.
Yep.
Anyway, pretty cool. And Jabba didn't rape her, right?
You know what? I never believed, firstly, yes, of course, that's not what I'm talking about. But I could never believe that Leia could choke him out, though. No, I couldn't believe. Like it's just so
He's
unbelievable
a
that he was
fat little
stroking him.
slug.
Yeah, but he
Leia's
has like a
super
thick
strong and she
neck
needs to
and
get her
like
comeuppance for the rape.
I don't believe it. I don't buy it. It's not possible. I wouldn't even believe if like
She'd be
Han or
sad if she
Luke
got
like
raped,
together
right?
tried to choke him. I don't think it would work. He's just giant guy. How can you choke him so easily? It's ridiculous. Anyway,
With a chain EliteAri.
true.
Leia can do it. She was using force strength. Fucking idiot.
Maybe yeah.
That's convincing. I like that argument. So I just talked about a bunch of random stuff, EliteAri. Where was I going with any of that? Carrie Fisher looked different, and also she sounded different. So that was like the actual point. I think.
Oh yeah, she was wearing a voice changer
yeah.
at the beginning. Like it was a different like mask she had on.
Shut up, you fucking!
Okay.
I'll kill you. Now, I swear she sounded different, and especially in that one scene I was saying I didn't like.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. She sounded the same to me, but maybe if you compare them, maybe she was different.
She is getting fetishized in this movie, EliteAri. She's also in the traditional dress at the end. A little weird.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Traditional dress?
In the Ewok dress, it's like, oh,
okay. I don't
dress.
know.
I want to fuck the hippie girl. No, I want to fuck the slave girl. No, I want to fuck the princess girl.
Maybe.
Make up your mind. Leia is it's also funny that she's literally the only female character in the first movie.
What about Luke's auntie? Aunt Beru?
Oh my god, EliteAri, you destroyed Kind of Funny. They told me that.
Well, there we go.
Is it really just the two of them? Because there is one girl at a desk in the second one, in the rebellion thing.
Okay.
It's kind of funny, huh? But in that third one, the Mon Mothma or whatever is a woman. Also, why every movie do we have a new rebel leader? What happened to the other ones?
Who was the rebel leader in the first one? The old
guy? I don't
guy?
know. There was some general guy that was given the speech, and then we never see him again. Did he die? Maybe he did. Maybe he got blown up. That would be pretty cool.
Maybe he died of old age.
And then the next one. Wait, did he die? Are you telling me this?
I have no idea. I don't know. I don't follow the lore of the rebels. I don't know much. I don't know nothing.
Well, every time, and then in the second one, there was a different general guy, and then I don't know what happened to this guy, and now we've got our own Empress-looking girl. Where'd she come from? What is she about?
Yep, true.
And then they wokeified her in the sequels and made her have pink hair, right?
No.
Or is that a different character?
That's a different character. But she is in the Andor
Same role, EliteAri, just to show how woke we've become. Disgusting.
Yep, women. There are some women in Star Wars, not men.
Why don't you should know this rebel shit, EliteAri? You should know the whole
chain. Okay, I think the first one is, I think, like, Captain Doldana or something, I think is his name. The second one, I have no idea, is in there for, like, one scene. We never see him again. The third one, Mon Mothma. Those are the three people you're talking about.
And by the end, Han Solo is a general. That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, he did, like, blow up the first, or, like, help blow up the first Death Star. I think he'd, like, get that big award and everything. And then the second one, he's, like, being helpful and... True, so true.
And they say he's like a natural leader at some point. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, remember he went and saved Luke, his son, in the second movie.
Yeah, but that doesn't make you... Just because I go and save the computer from the fire doesn't mean I'm going to be in charge of tech support now, EliteAri. Yeah,
but idiot. He found Luke. He also found him. That's pretty impressive, would you say?
I found the computer because I used to be the janitor and I know where the garbage chute goes.
I think if you found your computer in the middle of like a snowy desert, then I think that's impressive and you deserve to be a general.
All right, I'm your boss now, EliteAri. AI, we're cancelling it.
Good luck.
Now, I was saying something before that, wasn't I?
Do you want me to have a note? Oh, no, mine toward the end of the movie. Never mind.
Okay. Oh, you said no. I'm still trying to think of what I was thinking about. Anyway, let me read my notes. Maybe it'll be in here. That happens sometimes. Leia and Han look like different people. Oh, it's Han too.
I don't know. They got older. It's been a while.
Yeah, true. That's another interesting kind of meta thing is that, oh my god, these movies are 3 years apart for each of them. Yep. Like, if you see the first one when you're 6, you're going to see the last one when you're, what, 16 nearly. You don't still like Star Wars? It's crazy. These Marvel movies come out every year, EliteAri. We don't have to wait anymore. Now... Oh, hold on, I'm yawning, fill the air. Well done,
Return of the Jedi.
Luke too, a little, but that's like on purpose, bro. True, but Luke looked cool. She
sounds
I would
like
say an
Luke
old lady.
Starts looking more cool.
This is another great point about Leia's voice. She starts sounding like an old acting lady in this one, whereas before she just sounded like a modern acting lady. It's weird, EliteAri. I'm telling you.
Maybe it is the cocaine. Yeah, I guess it's possible. I have no idea though.
Well, that's the next thing. Says, is it the cocaine, EliteAri? I even wrote your name out. See, I was being so funny. So was Jabba raping Leia? We already talked about that one. Who is this lady leader? We just talked about that. Admiral Akbar. More wacky aliens than ever in this is the directive for this movie. True. We didn't have any aliens in our great pure rebel fleet, EliteAri, and then in this third one, we're adding aliens everywhere.
Yep.
They said the kids love the masks, more masks, and they gave this fish idiot a mask. Also,
Yep.
I almost certainly thought this guy was in the first movie because they reference him a lot. But actually, it's
It's a
just in this third
trap.
one, and he's on screen for like 2 seconds. That's what the third Family Guy spoof was called for the third
Mm.
movie. Can you believe it?
Yep.
Now, Admiral Akbar, the fish from American Dad, though. Where was I up to, EliteAri?
Mm-hmm.
More wacky aliens. It is true. There's like a big alien directive. We got all the Jabba ones and the Ewoks at the end. Now, weren't the Ewoks supposed to be Wookiees or something, EliteAri? And that's why Star Wars, the third one, sucks, is because if they were Wookiees, it would be cool because it would be more believable that they beat up the Empire.
I don't remember. That doesn't ring a bell. However, the thing about like having all these aliens, that is a criticism I've heard about it being like the Muppets or whatever. Everyone was like, oh, it's like a Muppet movie. We don't like the Muppets.
True. Where's Elmo?
Yeah.
Elmo's pretty cool. He could be in Star Wars.
Yeah,
the chase sequence is kind of shockingly good, but also bad in terms of, we already talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't remember a lot of the Ewok stuff. True, I didn't remember they like kidnapped Leia and she gave him some food and then he became her friend. It was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But also they like got to cook him and C-3PO becoming a god and all that
and
stuff.
levitating. Crazy. Oh my god.
True. Sister reveal scene ain't the best. She's always known! ! Oh yeah, she does say that. And then that's obviously the easiest kiss joke in the world, EliteAri. Why'd she kiss him then? The Han and Leia scene after was good, though. We already talked about this. Vader and Luke confrontation scene is great, and I didn't remember it all. This is the one where they're leaning. Whoever said Han and Leia had nothing to do in this movie was dumb. Already talked about that. These guys with the red cloaks are like the Knights of Ren or whatever. True, EliteAri. You remember that from the 8th movie? There's just idiots with the red cloaks that go unexplained.
So these are the Praetorian Guards. They are the Emperor's personal people. Yeah, true.
But anyway, I'm sure that was fleshed out in all the great novels, so we had to put it in the great new movies. Or probably the prequels too, huh? Now, Dead Ewok, we talked about that. Chewbacca does a little Tarzan sound. True, there's a Tarzan joke where he swings off a something.
You know what? I don't remember that. But that also, something like that happens in the prequels, a sound effect like that. I know that. So maybe it's referencing this. That's crazy.
I think Jar Jar does it, right? Or no?
I'm not going to say
Jar
nothing.
Jar gets pushed off, and then Obi-Wan does it, or that Qui-Gon guy. Anyway. That guy's going to die. Darth Maul's going to get him. But then Darth Maul's going to get cut in half, but then he's going to survive so he can be in the Solo movie and in shitty Clone Wars. Now, you think I don't know everything, EliteAri, don't you? Now, this is my last note of the whole document here, EliteAri.
Oh, excellent.
Vader didn't know about Leia. We've already talked about it.
All right, well, then now I have Palpatine is the best. And I have a quote, this is a fun thing he does.
Sucks.
We have Luke, and I wonder if you can finish the quote when I say it. Probably not. But I think Luke is like... your overconfidence is your weakness or something. And then he's like, he's walking away and he turns around rapidly. Palpatine is like, your faith in your friends is yours. And I'm like, oh, he's so like sassy and stuff. This is great. And then there's like the scene. Oh, I love Palpatine's sass. And also like he has a scene where he's like being melodramatic and like faking sadness. And he's like, I'm afraid the deflector shield will be quite operational when your friends arrive. And then he like smiles at the end. I'm like, this is great. Palpatine, every line he says is basically great. And the fact that he's like so... I don't know what the word is, but he's like acting like in universe. It's great. But it's not even the melodramatic. It's like he's acting. The character is acting, not the actor. Obviously, the actor's acting.
Oh,
like the character is like doing voices and stuff, and it's like this is funny. Palpatine's awesome. Mocking. Yeah, mocking. I guess. Yeah, we love the mocking.
I don't think I liked it very much. It was weird that like the final battle was just happening like beneath a staircase or something. I thought that was very weird.
Yep. The only interesting fight is this Luke Vader fight, like lightsaber fight. I mean, like all the other ones, even the one in Empire Strikes Back, it's very lame.
No, the Empire one's better.
No, that's terrible. It's very lame. This one at least has like cool like sword movements and stuff, and it's really fast. And I don't know, this one was good. All the others were bad.
What do you want, a flipping little green man?
Oh, hey, yeah, I would like that. You know, it's probably better than this one, that's for sure. Even though this one's the best of these. This is actually another cool scene, and it's like a scene I guess that it's not really the scene itself which matters, but it's when Luke is like holding Vader and they're like walking through the Death Star and no one's looking at them because they're all so busy. But it's like kind of cool that it's like, oh look, our like commander guy, like Vader, is like injured and he's like walking with Luke, but no one really notices because like they're about to be blown up.
Oh, and they're all evacuating? That is cool.
It is. Yeah, I like that. In a similar way to why I like the scene before, where it like humanizes Vader quite a lot. Like the scene I was talking about, where it's like,
cool
oh,
wartime like scene where it's like, oh, everybody's running away and like they drag like the one guy, and it's like they're surrounded, but the scene feels so isolated or something. It's cute.
Yep. I already talked about this, but just to emphasize again, the The fact that Han is so willing to accept that Leia loves Luke is very interesting because it just shows how like he doesn't have confidence. Like he always projects a confident persona, but he's not confident.
Got a good heart.
No, it's not even the good
Oh,
heart.
you
It's
think
a
it's
lack
not
of confidence. Yeah, he's like, as soon as he thought that Leia liked Luke, he was like, oh, that's okay. I'll get out of the way. I
True,
understand.
he doesn't want
you
to
know.
be vulnerable.
Yeah, so I thought that was very cool. Han, you know, maybe Han's a good character after all.
But don't they get divorced or something?
I guess we'll have to see.
Kind of makes sense.
2 more notes, the 2 final notes. Yeah, I said, I love the final song. I don't know what it was, but it's great, emotional or whatever. The final song in this movie where all the planets are being
edited
shown.
EliteAri, because in the original version, it was some Ewok song,
like Yub
and then
Nub or
they
something,
changed it
yeah.
to this one.
I think Aaron from Blind Wave loves that song for some reason. But this one's better.
The original one?
Oh, we didn't even talk about the Jedi rock scene in Jabba's palace where they do the song and it's like new for some reason. And it's
yeah, they did
fine.
the dance. And the Ahsoka girl, EliteAri. I knew I'd seen that thingy somewhere.
Firstly, just because we're not going to see her in any of these movies, I should say now that looks nothing like Ahsoka. Firstly, Ahsoka's not green.
Head things.
No, you're thinking of Hera from like Ahsoka's show. You're not thinking of Ahsoka herself.
Ahsoka has head things.
Yeah, but then completely different to those head things, and it's like it looks more like hair for Ahsoka.
Well,
this one looks like head thing.
Right.
No, it's not. It's like a completely different race. I see why you see the similarity, but they're not at all the same thing.
It's funny because it's like the one like girl like alien we see, and it's a sexy one. So you know that's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Though we see other girl aliens, it's the only humanoid girl alien.
Yeah, sure.
Because there are like ugly old ones too.
Yep.
There's a feminism piece about this, a feminism video essay about how women are either old and outdated or young and sexy to men, and there's no in between.
True, Vinland Saga.
No women of size in this movie, unless they're made a joke of.
All right, my last note here. They have a great emotional scene at the end, and they show the Force Ghost, and there's a young Anakin standing there, and it's like, and there's like an old Obi-Wan next to him, and it's like, you know what? I don't want the old one because the old one I also wouldn't recognize, but this one is kind of weird because it's like you got the old Anakin and the young Anakin and the old Obi-Wan, and they're like different, and they look so mismatched, and like Anakin is like looking a bit weird.
That is Hayden Christensen or whatever, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
the same actor, not a random young guy, right?
No, that's him, but it's just so jarring. But I don't think like putting in the random, like, I guess if they made him look like what he looked like in the suit, that'd be kind of cool. But the original version I've seen that is just some random like middle-aged guy. It's like
in the young Obi-Wan if they want to do.
Yeah, that would be
obviously doing.
That would be cool.
Because I'm assuming Obi-Wan and that thingy in the third movie have a good relationship that EliteAri wants to be called back to upon or something.
Perhaps
not this old man that never did anything interesting. But we love Ian McGregor or whatever. He's the good one. Lame.
Well, I guess we can talk about the prequels now, Kyle, because I got no other notes.
Yoda's death scene was cool, bro. He's like dying 3 times, and he keeps saying Luke, and it's cool.
Yep.
He's dying. He's sad. Convenient that this 700-year-old creature dies when our plot's happening, huh?
Very true.
The last Jedi you will be. Oh, I'm fucking crying.
Isn't that crazy? Oh my god. What a reference.
Until Kylo Ren shows up, and then they can be Jedis together.
Yeah.
Where's Luke's kid?
What a great question. All right. Anyway, so Kyle, that's it.
Right. It's supposed to be Rey or something, but that she's actually a Palpatine, I think.
Interesting.
Crazy.
Kyle,
is Rey born yet? She's a Jedi.
What do you? Well, that's a good question. Is she born yet?
Oh, she's a Sith because she's a bad guy.
Go ahead.
What about the
black
guy?
Ahead, yeah.
He also used this. He used a lightsaber. Is he born yet?
Who?
Finn.
Oh,
is that his name?
Okay. Yeah. Well, maybe. I guess we'll see.
What's the gay one's name?
I don't know who you're talking about.
The pilot.
The gay pilot? You don't mean the
in the new movies, the Han Solo one.
Oh yeah. Oh wait, the Han Solo one? I have no idea.
Just say the other main character's name before I stab you.
In the Solo movie?
No, in the new sequels.
Oh, Poe Dameron.
Oh my god.
What's his name? Isaac something. One. He's not gay. Is he? I don't remember this. Maybe.
That was the big thing. They had a black guy, a girl, and a gay guy.
Right. Okay. Anyway, Kyle, yeah, prequels. Any predictions? You know some stuff. Do you think,
There's a 2-way. The first one has to be fucking terrible, right? This Jar Jar idiot has to be bad. I don't know if I can even meme myself liking it, though maybe I could. Also, there's the funny meme about how it's like about bureaucracy or something, because the Senate crawl is about senating trade something. But that's probably good. Now, EliteAri says this sand nonsense love story is going to be good. I'm almost certain I'm going to hate. The biggest thing EliteAri is I'm gonna hate the fucking dialogue in these goddamn movies, and therefore I'm gonna hate them. Is what I'm scared of.
Probably, yeah. I would predict, yeah. I think you're.
Oh.
Let me think. Actually, what are you gonna think? There's a lot of action. You're probably not gonna like the action. But maybe you will.
I wonder what's gonna happen because I am definitely predisposed to thinking Yoda showing up and swinging his lightsaber around is dumb. But maybe it'll be cool in the moment.
Yeah, maybe.
Like
I can't.
that
Yeah, I
Darth
don't know.
Maul guy when his things come out the side. Now that's pretty cool, bro. No, that's Kylo Ren, but he has the two-sided one. But Kylo Ren's little guard thing, that's way cooler. So Darth Maul sucks, but he has cool face paint, so he's gonna be cool.
I am just so curious. There's like, I don't want to say which one, but there's like a movie there, and I'm curious what you're gonna think about it. But
it has to be the third one. It's the only one EliteAri cares
maybe.
about. Oh, I think on his letterbox, the second one also has 5 stars. But people say that's like the worst movie of all time. So
interesting. I don't know. What else could I ask you at this point?
I'm not reading the book, EliteAri.
Okay, what about this? What characters from this set of movies do you think are going to be in those set of movies, in the prequels?
Well, I know
overlap?
C-3PO and R2-D2 are in the third one, I think.
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
then, wait, so I'm trying to remember if I watched a YouTube video where, like, Kid Han is in, like, one scene in the third one, or they were pitching that he should have been in one scene in the third one. So I don't know which one of those is true. Anakin is going to show up. He's a little kid. Obi-Wan's in there. Palpatine's in there. We love the great Palpatine. Obviously, we're making up some characters. So Samuel L. Jackson's going to show up. He's going to have a purple lightsaber because Samuel L. Jackson is cool. Then we got the great Count Dooku. And we've got, there's an evil droid dude. Now, there's clones and stuff. And I've seen bad CGI robots fighting on a field or something. Then we've got, I think Little Han is in it, and he meets R2-D2 and C-3PO or something, and then they wipe his memories. Or maybe that's a different character. Maybe that's Dark. No, that's definitely Anakin. I think they do that too or something. You know, anyway, because, you know, we got to be back with the continuity and stuff.
True.
But, now Boba Fett is going to, I don't know, no, that's Jango Fett. He's a different guy at EliteAri. Don't be ridiculous. They're Mandalorian. So's Pedro Pascal.
True.
Now, there's no other characters in Star Wars. Oh my goodness, Leia and Luke are going to be born at the end, and we're going to see them as little babies, and one of them's going to go one way, and one of them's going to go the other way, and that's going to be the coolest scene in the whole thing. And then Padme is going to die of a broken heart, and it's going to be terrible.
Amazing predictions. This is great to hear. And I'm looking forward to watching these. The 3 movies, all directed by George Lucas himself, directed and written by him, I think. How exciting.
And ridden into the ground by him.
That's what some old people would say. But anything
I'm
else
old
you
at
want to
heart,
say, Kyle?
EliteAri.
You are true.
Well, we're probably going to be recording the next one in person. Isn't that exciting, everybody? So I don't have to watch them for like another week.
So true. So
wait, how long? These ones are going to be long, aren't they, EliteAri?
I mean, they're about as long as these ones, I think.
2 hours, but these ones are like good.
I think
like,
The Last
they're
Jedi
a
is the
rewatch,
longest
so I
Star
like
Wars
them
movie.
better. Oh, but that one's great. Revenge of the Sith. I'm opening them on Letterboxd. I don't know if we want to end the video before we do this, or, you know, I got them open, EliteAri. Let's just have a look. The Phantom Menace. 136. That's way longer than these movies. Then the second one, 142, 3 fucking hours.
No?
Is Christopher Lee Count Dooku? I just saw him in the credits thing, and that's the only guy he can be. Oh, and 140. They're all 3 fucking hours.
They're not. I don't even know where you're getting that from. The Attack of the Clones is, I looked it up, 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's nothing.
Yeah,
same length as
3
Empire.
hours.
How long is Empire Strikes Back? Let's have a look.
They're all 1-2 something.
2 hours and 4 minutes. So look at that. Only 15 minutes more.
Yeah, 1-2 something. 124, you fucking loser. But
All
also, you know I rewatch things easier.
True.
But I'll suffer. I'll put myself through it.
All right, that's it. Let's end this. So guys, thank you for watching. Remember, guys, you're listening right now. You have to leave a comment and then just tell us how wrong or how right or how angry or how happy.
I don't think we say too much interesting stuff here.
Yeah, but I'm sure that they're all gonna they're gonna hate us because we didn't. Well, I didn't like that first movie. Maybe they'll like you in this one. Kyle. I don't know. We'll see.
Not the next one.
Yep. See you later, guys.
Alligator.